And Woody.
Listen, we all know that the Denver Broncos got an opening at the quarterback position. They got a lot of young, really good weapons over there. So, I mean, it's an obvious fit.
Damian Woody on Barton Hahn. Matt Eberflus is the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. Eberflus had been the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. For the second year in a row, LeBron James in the West and Kevin Durant in the East lead the voting, and they will captain the two teams during All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. The West starters, along with James, will be Steph Curry, Ja Morant, Nikola Jokic, and Andrew.
Isn't this a sports show?
Steve Spagnuolo is a gift to the human race, really to the whole planet and altogether. I bet animals would love Spags also. Actually, I know that's true, because they're already friends with the honey badger. He's basically Cinderella.
Almost entirely.
Trying to imagine how that would go.
I actually am right now, yeah. I am, and it's awesome.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
What is that, a glass slipper? Is that for my left foot? Is that gonna fit on my foot?
The ball was yesterday?
Wait, what time do we have to go home? Is it midnight?
Oh, is it? Listen.
What time is it?
Good morning, guys.
Wait a second, is that turned into a pumpkin? What time? Is it AM or PM? Midnight and noon.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
You tell me this horse was a rat?
Wait, what? The horse is a rat?
Why is it wearing your shirt?
What's going on with the horse and the rat? Where's my honey badger?
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I keep kind of thinking that eventually I'm going to start this show by talking about, the AFC Championship game that is a couple days away.
Never heard of it.
And every time I end up being sort of wrong because I just remember something else that happened in Chiefs Bills. And that's sort of where my whole day is revolving around over and over again, is that we saw something truly incredible, and it's making it borderline difficult to focus on the second biggest game that the Chiefs could possibly play this year.
I assume you heard pressers today.
Yes, sir.
Because
I did not hear L'Jarius Sneed's.
Okay, well, the important thing was, or I guess this wasn't from today. This was actually from yesterday. I apologize.
Heard yesterday's also.
This was to Patrick Mahomes. Because when you said that, this just made me think about how Tyrann Mathieu was like, meant to ask you this after the game, but you want to talk about that Byron Pringle touchdown catch? Because that was absurd.
Yes.
And we just didn't get to it because there was a lot of other things.
That hit me. I think we might have talked about this on Tuesday or Wednesday, but like that Teicher tweet. I know you and I talked about it after the show, after the post game show, Rudy, because I saw Teicher's tweet again after we had finished the post game show on Sunday night, and I literally had to stop and think and look at the timestamp to remember what it was that Teicher had called something along the lines of maybe the best Patrick Mahomes throw we've ever seen, and then that got erased by just an absolute by a peace sign and 13-second drive that has turned 13 into a lucky number, I guess. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And we will actually talk about Chiefs Bengals today. We'll have some help to do it as well with Matt Verderame of FanSided and Aaron Ladd of KSHB 41. They'll join us at 9 and 8, respectively. Aaron at 8, Verderame at 9. And, of course, I'm also going to ask them about Chiefs Bills because it still happened. I haven't talked to them yet on air, since it all.
I assume Aaron was probably at Arrowhead.
I was going to ask him. I think he would have been.
I was going to say in the tweet to tell us his experience live from it. I was like, normally he definitely would be. That. Obviously, I don't know. Like, we're still dealing with some COVID restrictions and everything. So I was like, I don't know how many TV people there are allowed out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But we will. We'll get to the bottom of that, like the journalists that we are, and find out if Aaron was at the game, which we could have probably found out by just turning on 41 at some point during that stretch.
We were doing radio.
So I want to.
I don't have cable.
Well, you can just get an antenna. I have an antenna that actually works pretty well. I have YouTube TV downstairs, but I just have an antenna.
It's a lot of work.
Okay.
I'm just stream Peacock. I watch the NBC, just not, the local NBC.
Why wouldn't you want to support our wonderful local friends like Mick Schaefer and Aaron Ladd and Haley Lewis? Why do you hate them? Why do you hate all three of them?
I love them. Mick's all right, but Haley and Aaron are great.
It's funny you say that because Mick hasn't confirmed that he will be good to go for tomorrow night, so I texted him and wanted to make sure that he got back to us. I do want to talk about...
To be fair, he may not know that the Zone is going to be in Lawrence tomorrow. It's very possible it's very possible we're the first people to tell him this.
There's a chance that the Zone might not know at this point. I don't know. There's no way Beards knows.
No. God, no.
Beards will find out at
He asked me yesterday if we had a show last night. It's like, nope.
No.
Assistant to the program director, we definitely do not.
We will talk about Chiefs Bengals today because there's a couple of things that have kind of gotten stuck in my head looking back at the first matchup and a couple things afterwards that I do think are kind of interesting. But first, I have to tell you what my day has included. Just really the last couple of hours before I headed in, because I had two separate incidents today that really make me feel like I'm just falling apart, and this has become a theme. Not even just because of the diabetes and all of that, but also...
You have diabetes?
I do. I know it doesn't come up very often. No one ever makes fun of me for it, and I really appreciate that. My pancreas, like Patrick Mahomes, is 33% of where it needs to be most of the time. But just the crushing realization that I'm just rotting away on this mortal coil. Age passing by the way that it does.
You're super old now. I'm
just super old, and I'm reminded of that every time that a young whippersnapper like Frank Bowl walks by, and I realize that I'm more, I am decrepit, and Frank will outlive me by 79 years.
That's not even a joke, because Frank still climbs mountains.
Yeah, no, Frank is
I climbed. I assume I climbed into a bunk bed at some point in the last decade for some dumb reason. Oh, yeah. niece's birthday party. We went to Great Wolf Lodge. They had a bunk bed. She wanted me to be on the top bunk with her and watch a movie. Climbed up on the top of the bunk bed, right?
A beautiful memory.
So that's the only thing I'm climbing.
Anything?
I don't climb trees or any of that stuff.
You want to know how low my standards are? I almost said, well, I climbed up the stairs earlier. That's how low my standards are.
I consider that more of a hike. Like when people ask if I've been hiking recently, I'm like, well, yeah. So like my apartment, I'm on the second floor, so like I hike every day, a couple times actually.
That's right. But here are the two things that happened to me. And maybe this is just to make other people feel bad about themselves. Maybe I just need to share. Because two things happened, pretty close proximity to each other. I took a shower, and then while I was towel drying my hair, I pulled a muscle in my neck so hard that it still hurts. That was early today. I have not been able to fully work it out. It's like bottom of my skull to my like right shoulder, whatever that muscle is. And I've been trying to like stretch it differently or like twist my neck in a way that this show is so good on Twitch. It just hit me that like, yeah, you can watch the show live and watch me trying to do the show with my head on my own shoulder. That's been something I've been dealing with now for the last several hours.
Yeah, so as somebody who's had like a lot of like, especially like right neck.
Yes,
area,
I feel like
I
you. I'm dying.
It's not fun, man. I'm trying to remember like the last time, because the last couple times where I've like felt pain, it's been like a legitimate reason. Like the time like my dad made me haul hay, and that's just like why?
Yeah, I dried my hair too hard.
But I've definitely had that moment. Like I've definitely like picked up my niece before. This was years ago, and like broke my back in the process. Just like, hey, you're a little child. I should be able to do this.
Yeah, we're all falling apart. Here's the other thing that happened though. I was trying to get out of the house at a good pace today. And I was in the first moments. I was talking to the producer for a radio show that I was doing a quick hit on that I did while I drove here. And I had just finished a podcast, and I had just got notification. Believe it or not, do you guys know they have diabetes? My blood sugar was low.
Never heard of it.
Got buzz on my watch. It was like, hey man, eat something. I was like, okay, well, I ought to at least eat something that I'm gonna like enjoy eating and not just have a Kit Kat. Like I love Kit Kats obviously, but I also should eat food of some sort. And Renee had just gotten bagels. So I was like, you know what? I'll have half a bagel. That'll pop my blood sugar right up. Have a little bit of a snack on the way. I might not get to eat it until after I finish this radio segment, but I'll have a little extra fuel in the tank to do the show tonight and all of that. Have a little speedy snack. So what I did was I let Scout back inside. I gave her a treat because I feel guilty leaving her home alone. That's a whole other thing to unpack. I let Scout inside, gave her a bone so she wouldn't guilt trip me as I was leaving. I took the call from the radio station, was talking to the producer. I took half a bagel, I popped it into the toaster, and then I left. And if you're an optimist, you could say, well, Josh, at least you're going to have a nice, cold, but toasted half of a bagel for you whenever you get home tonight. And that's true. Probably. Unless Renee eats it. At that point, I feel like just it's finders keepers. But I meal planned for about 30 seconds and actually did the prep work and then left presumably before the toaster even popped. I think I would have heard it. And I don't know that that's happened to me before, where I have just prepared something to eat and simply left it because I was in a hurry. I was doing too many things. I hope it wasn't on like max power and that there's going to just be a cloud of smoke whenever I get home.
I don't think
Scout climbs up on the counter and eats a bagel out of the toaster. That seems unlikely. She's not very
because like I've definitely forgotten like food that I meant to bring, but it was like food. Some of it was in the fridge, right? Like that kind of thing.
I've even made like a cup of coffee before, and like my hands were full, and I just didn't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm a little bit hungry, and largely ready to do this show talking about Chiefs, Bengals, and other things like the fact that I can't even dry my hair without hurting myself or make a bagel and remember to take it with me. It was a really tough stretch there for me just keep having my bearings, really. I just wanted to have my bearings at any point throughout that process, and I have been in pain and unfulfilled. Breaking news. It's been a minute since I've heard that.
So
this might be legitimate breaking news for Rudy to go find the liner.
I guess it depends on what your definition of legitimate is.
We go to our live Twitter correspondent, Rudy Salazar.
So you sent me a tweet earlier about how Jeff Fisher is in the AAFL.
Yeah, the USFL. The USFL. Jeff Fisher is a new head coach of the Birmingham somebody's
I just
Stallions.
saw who else got hired, and this is the team I will root for.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Time out. So I have committed myself to Todd Haley's Tampa Bay Bandits.
And I may have a crazier person than Todd Haley.
And I thought for sure you were going to be swayed by Jeff Fisher's Birmingham Stallions or whatever.
Love a good Jeff Fisher story, right? The man I think I've told you because I've heard him do interviews. Seems like a man caught in between two worlds where he's like seems very old school, but he's also like, yeah, like I also think players should have and my coaches should go home at a reasonable time because it's important to spend time with your family. It's like, oh. A little bit of
my headphones cut out. You said because he's a quitter, right? Is what you said?
No. He just he kind of lives he's very perfectly in the middle, right? Like he's very balanced. It's like an 8-8 season, right? He's perfectly balanced.
Yeah, Thanos meme.
Yeah.
I don't know about this being able to spend time with your family thing. That to me is a little suspect. But okay, so anyway, I thought that was going to be it for you. I thought you were going to be a Jeff Fisher Birmingham fan.
It was definitely leaning that way.
But another USFL hire has been announced, and it is definitely the team you're in.
I would say I'm like 90. Like it's going to take a lot to top this.
You got a verbal commitment, if not a signed letter of intent.
I would say it's a hard verbal commitment. Like I'm not signing the letter of intent yet. There might be another official visit in there.
It's just that if Matt Castle is the head coach of another team, they could swoop in and get you.
If Patrick Mahomes decides he's bored this offseason and wants to, throw a couple passes while also being a coach and a GM,
okay,
so go that way.
I am so excited.
Do you remember Larry Fedora?
I mean, the name rings the faintest bell on planet Earth. I thought you were going to say Larry Fitzgerald, and I got really excited.
No, so Larry Fedora was a college coach, mostly at, I believe, Southern Miss, before he took a job at North Carolina. And Larry Fedora had one of the greatest rants in college history, basically about how CTE might be fake. And as we are attacking football, we are slowly destroying football and slowly destroying the country as a whole.
I do remember this.
Yes.
Because he basically blamed caring about concussions on the downfall of America.
Of American society.
And that reminds me, and that's stuff you talk about all the time.
Love Larry Fedora.
You,
his last
off
name's
air,
Fedora.
constantly talk
last
about.
Last name is Fedora. That's a good last name.
Wow. I mean,
New Orleans Breakers, I believe, is the team he's coaching.
Is. I kept saying, did I keep saying Birmingham for Jeff Fisher?
So, yeah.
The Birmingham Stallions are coached by Skip Holtz, actually.
Oh, Skip Holtz is back in the game.
I'll give you the full list here in a second.
Yeah, so did they hire, because last we know, I think there were 8 teams and 4 had hired coaches.
Full thing is ready now. Full thing is done.
So we know there's no, I can't be,
I will
tell
give
me
you
the rest
your
of them, I'm probably ready to make my commitment.
Okay. If you're late to the game on this one, we were talking about the USFL reboot, which is the third spring professional football league that has popped up over the last 4 years, with the XFL having its second/third one coming again in a couple more years because The Rock got involved.
The Rock, yes. I forgot The Rock's involved.
So here are your USFL teams and their head coaches.
I do wish we had quarterbacks announced at the very, because here's what I'll say. I believe that
That's true. The
AFL did this. AAFL.
Nope. Just Alliance of American Football.
Yeah, that's right.
Just 3 letters.
I think they did this where they
announced
the head coach and the starting quarterback all at the same time.
Because
we knew it was Stoops and Landry Jones together.
Fair enough.
Which is right. So
we got to wait and see about the quarterbacks.
I wish these teams, honestly, in all seriousness, this is not even a joke. If you're marketing your spring football league, that's how you should do it. You should have your coach and quarterback ready to go, because that's how you get into this.
If Jeff Fisher does end up with Tyler Bray,
you know who I was thinking of? Do you remember Jake Locker?
Yes, absolutely.
Jake Locker coming back, making a comeback.
Back with Jeff Fisher again. I'm sure Jeff Fisher is definitely the coach of that Titans team that drafted him, right?
Had to have been.
So here are your coaches and teams. Kicking off our coverage of Chiefs Bengals here with USFL teams and head coaches.
We got audio to get to in the next segment.
We do have audio. It's a piece of paper with audio throws on it. That's how you know it's real today.
I did it.
Rudy did it.
I listened to audio. Not Dave Tope, though.
He was actually very good today.
I found out that he had a really good
Yeah.
squib kick thing. I was just like, oh, man, maybe I should have listened to Dave Tope.
His squib kick thing was good. He had questions about Harrison Butker and kicking from farther away.
I like Dave Tope. I'm always interested in Dave Tope. I did cut this also for Crunch Time. And I feel like not everybody's interested in the special teams coordinator. So sometimes I just assume, hey, we want OC, we want DC. And we're definitely got time for those. And then, tweeting out. You know what we didn't do in Crunch Time? We didn't play any of the audio that I cut.
The entire sheet? You got shut out?
Yeah, but to be fair, again, the show started late because the Chiefs pressers have thrown the schedule off all day. Blame the Chiefs.
Those were it.
Don't blame the Chiefs. It's not their fault. The NFL's in charge of the media stuff now. It's Roger Goodell's fault.
We have to blame someone. Do you want to know the coaches for the USFL team?
Yes. Sorry.
So Jeff Fisher is the new head coach of the Michigan Panthers. It's very far from Birmingham. Birmingham Stallions or Skip Holtz. We'll get back to him.
It feels right though, because he doesn't feel like a Southern. I know he's at Tennessee, but he's more of a
Michigan tracks.
Yeah.
Then Larry Fedora is the new head coach of the New Orleans Breakers.
Yeah.
Todd Haley,
I
Tampa
love
Bay
Southern
Bandits.
City too.
It seems like you're really finding your match there in Larry Fedora, and I don't want you to think about that any more than that. Just accept it, because it seems like that's where you're headed. Todd Haley, Tampa Bay Bandits.
That's your team.
That's
Tampa
my team.
Bay. Yeah.
That's my team.
I mean, if I had all 8 teams available, I'm going Todd Haley, obviously, but Tampa Bay's yours. That's your crown.
I offered to have an almost entirely sports team.
I'm supporting your team, but I think I also need my own. That way, if there is a head-to-head, we can come up with some dumb bet.
Kevin Sumlin is the head coach of the Houston Gamblers.
Which is intriguing. Kevin Sumlin's intriguing.
Yeah, I need to let you give your thoughts on these, because this is my pitches to you as a free agent.
Because Kevin Sumlin, was Johnny Manziel, and so that's the thing, right? If Johnny Manziel came back with Kevin Sumlin
for a team called the Houston Gamblers, game changer.
That's good. I don't think we've had a quarterback in recent memory who's had any sort of gambling problem, because that would also be pretty funny if he played for the Houston Gamblers.
Would it?
Yeah, I mean, and by problem, I don't necessarily mean he's broke because of gambling, but he maybe bet on a game he wasn't supposed to or something.
There was a player that got suspended for that a few years ago.
Yeah,
send him to Houston, I guess. New Jersey Generals have Mike Riley.
Yeah, which I think I had to look up Mike Riley.
Can't believe we're starting the show with
Mike
this.
Riley's the Oregon State coach. I went through this whole thing where I couldn't remember who Mike Riley was. He was at Oregon State. He was at Nebraska for a minute. Went back to Oregon State. I think he was in the Chargers coach in the NFL for a minute.
Skip Holtz, Birmingham Stallions. Do anything for you there?
Not really.
That's fine.
Skip Holtz, he's the son of Lou Holtz. That's all I know.
Kirby Wilson, Pittsburgh Maulers.
Who is Kirby Wilson?
The little pink video game guy and a basketball.
That's intriguing.
And then Bart Andrus with the Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah, I remember Bart Andrus. I don't know who he is. I just remember he was one of the first 4 named.
And so I have taken the crazy person that we can remember fondly and kind of chuckle about.
For sure.
And you are taking the crazy person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Todd Haley is totally not all there, right? But also there are times where Todd Haley has been the sanest person in the room. We all watched. Well, I mean, I didn't watch it. I've just seen the clips of Hard Knocks when they were sitting in the room. He was clearly the most sane one in the room at that time. Larry Fedora is a nut job.
Maybe I should know who this is. Do you have ESPN on in there, or are you watching the soccer game?
I got ESPN too.
On ESPN right now is Ohio State, Minnesota. And Ohio State has
basketball?
Yes. Ohio State has a player who is wearing both the traditional plastic clear face mask and a full Hannibal Lecter jaw covering that has holes in the front. So it's not like a COVID thing. I'm guessing his face got blown up at some point.
Yeah, I know E.J. Liddell is the only Ohio State player whose name I know. And then there's also a white dude who I think just sits on the bench and does TikToks because he's very popular on TikTok. He might actually play. I don't know. I haven't watched Ohio State play yet this year. I just assume that his time is devoted to TikTok. He's probably, he's just probably not playing, but I could be wrong.
If you get a chance to check a close up of number 0, I am just incredibly curious about what is going on there. Again, I'm guessing that he is playing something post-surgery or at least injury. But I have never seen that before where he might as well be wearing a helmet. Like, it's fascinating. And he just walked over the sideline and took it off. Michie Johnson Jr. is number 0.
The guy right next to him, Jimmy Sotos, that's the TikToker, number 1.
Trying to figure out who he looks like, but I'm having a really hard time placing it.
He's got a sleeve.
A tattoo sleeve.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Tattoo sleeve.
Yeah, there was a story here today that Michie Johnson Jr. was cleared to play Thursday following facial injury. This is the weirdest way we started a show in a minute. And yesterday we started with, what did we start with yesterday? It was even weirder, but not actually.
Honestly, I don't remember
Perfect.
a single thing that we talked about yesterday.
No, that's great.
First
That's
hour.
fantastic. I'm so glad that's. I'm gonna have to figure. I'm gonna have to figure out what happened to Michie Johnson Jr. Over
The
course of the break.
podcast title for yesterday in the first hour was just Josh and Rudy did an hour of radio, which is basically my code word of saying it's weird.
That you forgot what happened.
Nah, not fully. It's just more of this is weird, and I don't know how to title this podcast hour because it was weird. We talked about Jamar Chase and Les Miles. I think that's how we kind of started off the show.
Ooh, that makes sense.
And then also like Maurice Jones-Drew and
Doug Martin.
Yes,
Muscle
Doug
hamster.
Martin, muscle hamster. Yes. And then some Sony electronics, EA, Ubisoft, all that stuff.
We did talk about football video games and lamenting the lack of them again. That's true. Well, this was a weird way to go, but Rudy now is lining up his USFL affiliation, so that's pretty big. And
New Orleans Breakers.
New Orleans.
I'm excited to find out. That feels like there's at least a decent chance that Aaron Murray is going to be our quarterback because he's definitely going to be coaching quarterbacking a Southern city because that's where he's always been. He was with Atlanta in the XFL or the AFL. AAF. And then he was with Tampa Bay in the XFL.
Those might have been the other way around.
I might have had that backwards.
Yeah, I can't remember. At this point, who could possibly tell? We'll take a break. Whenever we come back, I do want to actually set up a couple of things I've been thinking about with Chiefs Bengals. Plus, we do have some audio. Will we play it? I don't know. No promises, but we have it at least. Rudy went to the trouble, so maybe he'll remind me this time of like, hey, I cut these, so, maybe we should play them. And then at 8, we'll talk to our friend Aaron Ladd of KSHB 41, and Matt Verderame of FanSided will join us at 9. Those will be probably more about NFL football than USFL football, but it's hard to say. And maybe we get, USFL quarterback announcements between now and then, and it totally derails the rest of the show. Anything is possible. Even Hannibal Lecter taking the court in a college basketball game. We will also find I'll find the end of that story by the time we come back. That's a promise that I will try much harder to keep than the one that I made about us playing audio soon.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
This is the
Vince McMahon.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
A lot of good stuff all week here, of course, on Sports Radio 810 WHB. But could I tell you about the weekend? Would you like to hear about the weekend this week? Because we've got some things.
The weekend, like
The new
this
album.
upcoming weekend, or the weekend the artist.
I'd like
or
to take the next 45 minutes to talk about the The Weekend album.
Maybe it's a plot twist. Actually, Vampire Weekend, the original weekend.
Mick is really into Vampire Weekend, right?
I think so.
Or I'm thinking about
really
somebody
like,
else
I say I really
that
like
I
Vampire
do
Weekend. It's
remember.
been a while since I really like, but like back, I forget what this. One of our royalty-free songs is 100% a Vampire Weekend knockoff. It actually might have been.
I think
that
it was
one
one we just
I think
played.
it was the one
I
we
think
just
you're
played.
right.
I think it's the Vampire Weekend knockoff.
So I want to tell you about the WEEKEND schedule.
WHB Weekend lineup.
Correct. Well enunciated, Rudy Salazar. I don't know why you hit those consonants so hard, but
There's a lot of them.
you did. So this is crazy because I can't imagine there have been very many times where KU Kentucky has snuck up on you. But surprise,
I think we played 5 of the last 7 years, 6 of the last 7.
it's
But
a
it's normally, very often it's been the first game of the year, the Champions
Right.
Classic, or like the reality is this is not a knock to either Kansas or Kentucky, but neither are the best team in their own conference. They're both probably the second best team in their own conference, but Baylor Auburn is those two teams are very good.
well, it's snuck up on you perhaps this weekend because it's the day before the AFC Championship
That
game,
too.
which is what I was kind of getting at in terms of sneaking up on you.
That makes sense.
We haven't talked a whole lot of KU basketball so far because football season's not over yet and it's almost February, which is a tradition that I'm pretty okay with. I've gotten used to talking about the Chiefs into January and February. But that is this Saturday, and of course you'll hear it right here on your home for Kansas Athletics. College Game Day will have a special broadcast live from Lawrence at 10 o'clock. That starts at 10 here on Sunday, and then again KU and Kentucky at 5. I'll have all sorts of coverage for you there. And then I'll be in there in between, actually, a little Sports Saturday in that window at 11. So I'll follow up the College Game Day with we'll talk a little KU on Saturday for sure, but also a lot of Chiefs Bengals there as well, and then KU and Kentucky play Saturday afternoon. Then on Sunday at midnight is when we kick off our pregame coverage. We're bringing you all the coverage you could possibly ask for to make sure you are, in fact, ready for these huge games the Chiefs have been playing. That starts at midnight for 14 hours of pregame coverage right here on Sports Radio 810. In addition to, at 2 o'clock when the game kicks off, usually we step away and then come back as soon as the game is over. This weekend, you can hear Chiefs Bengals right here via Westwood One on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So we will take you all the way up to kickoff. You will hear kickoff and the entire game here on 810. And then after all of that concludes, we will be live with myself, with Rudy Salazar, with Beards McFly to do the Sports Radio 810 WHB post-game show. We will break down the game, and I think we will look ahead to a Super Bowl matchup, although we won't know the team yet because that will be decided after Chiefs Bengals. The NFC game is the primetime one, and you can hear that over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM and 94.5 FM when that kicks off at 5:40. Post-game show will wrap up sometime before that's over, of course. You'll be able to hear the conclusion of that game here on 810 as well.
I have seen early lines. Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites over the Rams, 3 points over the 49ers.
Wow. That seems unnecessary. What are the numbers again? I was so surprised that you were going to the NFC teams.
2.5 over the Rams, 3 over the Niners.
That's kind of interesting.
I can find the email sent to me because it's also I've got it right here. It's got all the potential Super Bowl matchups. Yeah, Chiefs 2.5 over Rams, -3 versus 49ers. Rams are 3.5-point favorites over the Bengals. 49ers are 3-point favorites over the Bengals.
That's actually, that's very interesting. I think I would, aesthetically for a different thing, I'd rather see Chiefs-Rams, but I think they're probably a better matchup for the Niners, although the Niners are weird.
By the way, Ian Eagle will be on the call this Sunday.
Excellent.
For the Chiefs with Ross Tucker and Tony Baselli.
Also, so again,
Good crew, good lineup.
There's if you just search for Michi Johnson on Twitter, you will see a picture of the Ohio State player who is wearing something between a Jason mask and a Bane mask and a LeBron mask, and like it is a full facial like multi-part moving. He looks like it could be the beginning of a superhero movie. Like whenever the heroes making their own masks and equipment and everything. The strange thing is that here at least we have the word practice. It was suffered in practice, so there's not like video of whatever it was that happened, but a facial injury suffered in practice.
They're putting Kevin Harlan on the other game.
He's on the NFC game. I know.
It makes sense. It's also sad.
I learned that earlier this week. Actually, it made me a little sad.
No offense to Iron Eagle, he's great.
They're both excellent.
Dude's amazing. It's just Kevin Harlan dude's a legend.
Like maybe the greatest radio play-by-play guy ever.
And you know why there's any young whippersnappers out there listening? Because he doesn't take his job too seriously.
That's right.
When that drunk man running on the field, he called it like it was a game.
Cat running onto the field. Could have also been drunk. Could have been a drunk cat.
He's good.
In the grand scheme of, I'm going to get distracted by this college basketball game.
He also then has movie star Kurt Warner on with him.
There's a guy currently shooting free throws for Ohio State right now who looks like the third Paul brother, but his mechanics are
number one?
Number 50.
Ah.
He's 6'11", but he looks like he could be the third Paul brother, and he shoots free throws like he's in pain. It is a big man free throw, multi-step. You know how Giannis had a stretch where he looked like a ladder unfolding?
Do you want to know what his name is?
Yeah.
Joey Brunk. Like
Brunk?
Brunk, but Brunk with a B.
This game has been Brunk. I'm probably going to change the channel at some point, just be less distracted by anything else. That college basketball is good for. Hold on, is that guy playing in a hockey mask? No, wait a second. This guy's 6'11" and he shoots free throws like he's unfolding a ladder?
In part, there's over 300.
This guy has a Washington Nationals tattoo. That's a real thing. I don't know.
Over 300 Division I teams, and you only pay attention to one of them.
Yeah.
So when, you know what I mean? Like, there's all of a sudden you have 300 plus teams out there, and two of them may pop up on the TV, and there's a decent chance something about one of those two teams is going to be like pretty crazy.
I know
certainly distracting.
I know two things about the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I know that they play in Minnesota, and they are the Golden Gophers. Richard
Pitino is no longer the coach. I do not know who the current coach is.
Perfect. There we go.
And Marcus Carr was on their team last year, but he's at Texas.
There's a reason that we typically, start with the Chiefs in terms of what we put our time and effort into. We'll catch up before March. College basketball season starts whenever the Chiefs season ends. To me, to this show, I think.
I think that's fair.
And then occasionally you get a little KU action early on.
They're not
KU
enough
Kentucky's kind of fun,
hours to focus, right? Like we only have so many hours to talk about the Chiefs and nonsense. Could KU move past the nonsense? Sure. Is it gonna? Let's be real. That's all. Nonsense has got to be in the top two.
It's just how that works. We have a very clear hierarchy. How are you feeling about KU Kentucky? I know you mentioned during the break, whenever KU and Kentucky play, you become the person that everyone comes and talks bleep to.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think Ty Washington's going to play. If he doesn't play, Kentucky's not going to win. If he plays, if he plays and it's healthy, I think Kentucky will win. Like, Ty Washington might be the best point guard in the nation. And he honestly doesn't even play point guard for Kentucky all the time. Like, he is Kentucky's, most, starting shooting guard / backup point guard. Yet he has the record for most assists in a game in Kentucky history when he had 17 versus Georgia. He's incredible. But he got hurt against Auburn. We were up by 9 against Auburn, mind you, the number 1 team in the nation. And then he got hurt, and we lost by I think the final ended up being by 6. But Ty doesn't play. Kentucky won't win. Ty does play. They probably will.
Ohio State has at least 2 guys with one single fully tatted sleeve.
Jimmy Sotos. TikToker.
There's another one.
I just know the TikToker. Okay?
I understand. I know you're all about TikTok. I know that. I know you love TikTok. I know that that's your area of expertise.
My guy.
We're going to have to take a break before I would even have the time to set up and throw to an audio clip here, so I'm going to just make this one quick. You mentioning TikTok reminded me of this, and this has kind of gotten a little bit weird. I did 2 radio hits today, and both times the last question was so what does Kansas City think of Brittany and Jackson?
So I've heard actually a pretty good take on this.
I've got a take. It's just surprising to me.
Yeah, I've heard a pretty funny take on this, on how it's honestly the best thing that could happen to Patrick Mahomes, because like all the hate gets directed towards them and not as much him. That they are just like the lightning rod for him. Here's the thing. I think we both talked about this off air. The Brittany hate doesn't make much sense to me.
It doesn't really make sense.
The Jackson hate, I kind of get.
So here's what I told them.
I mean, hate's a strong word, but annoyance. I get it, right? I'm a little annoyed at Jackson. Brittany has never done anything wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
I think at least, yeah. So here's what I told them, and I might just need somebody to tell me if I've lost my entire mind, because
I mean, you probably have.
I have actually, yeah. I need to tell me if I've lost my mind in a way that makes me wrong about this. So, first of all, it's a weird sports talk topic.
Yeah. That
makes me feel a little bit icky. Cause it's not a real impactful thing. But we, generally this show loves talking about the things that aren't genuinely impactful but are kind of like interesting for some reason.
True.
So maybe I'm being hypocritical on this. But like, if you're Jackson Mahomes, your older brother is the most famous person in sports right now, and you have a platform to try to do something interesting for yourself, and like you're a Gen Zer that's found a TikTok following.
For sure.
You should not use that platform to yell at a local bar on social media.
Not great.
And you should not dance on the Sean Taylor Memorial, even if that's where they put you. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't do a TikTok.
I'm just like hoping he didn't realize that that's where he's saying. Like, I want to give him some benefit of the doubt there.
No, feel free to.
But you shouldn't.
And he apologized after that, and like, that's not great. But I think I don't know, man. I think I want to be empathetic a little bit, because it's a very strange situation to be in, to be young and famous and to have your brother be at least very, very wealthy.
You're famous because your brother's famous.
Right. And you, I mean, I would understand wanting to kind of like do your own thing. And there have been some missteps. Can we say there's not been? But Allie and I were tweeting whenever she tweeted about the weird, Barstool would write a story about Brittany drinking an ice cold glass of water and then setting it back down on the table and then folding her hands back up into her lap
at least
again.
Put it on a coaster. If she didn't put it on a coaster,
there's
she
your
deserves
story.
the heat.
That's your story. Like there would be a story written about her not using a coaster. The thing that's wild to me is this last thing that has like gotten a little bit of traction. And if you don't know, congratulations on making it this far.
Yeah.
So if I actually need to go ahead and give multiple points of clarification. You might have missed this. On Sunday, the Chiefs played the most incredible football game I've ever seen.
I missed that.
Yeah, well, so what happened at the end is that
lost.
The Chiefs. Well, so the Chiefs actually won. I know.
You sure?
Yeah, I am. I know, it's crazy.
They were down with 13 seconds left.
So they actually won there. They won that game. And it was in large part thanks to Patrick Mahomes being really, really good.
Doesn't sound like him.
And then there were approximately 70,000 people in that stadium losing their minds because of the things that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And one of those excited people was, and this is unforgivable, his fiance was excited. She was excited about the football that was happening in front of her very eyes. And so she corks a champagne bottle and it like sprays out over the section below, which in the video that I saw, I think I saw people like facing her and like cheering in her direction.
Here's the thing.
Which, go for it, I guess.
Here's the thing. You cannot convince me that what are mostly, I assume, drunk people, right? Also in that spot, that at least 95% of them weren't just like, heck yes. And that there weren't at least like 5 more of those instances happening somewhere in the stadium. It may not have been bottles of champagne, but liquor was being poured on people all throughout that stadium.
I don't know that I ever attended. I was gonna say I don't know that I've ever attended a game at Arrowhead as a fan and not gotten some alcohol on me from somewhere.
Yeah,
that might happen in the press box. Lebo gets pretty excited. He has to sneak in his own flask, of course, but he's a veteran. But and so then there was a video out, and then there was a Barstool story, and then everyone's angry at like that. And that one to me, I feel like I'm missing something, because other than just people don't like it when she is big and loud and excited about a thing happening, they just want to be angry in a direction.
Honestly,
it's kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I don't even think it's necessarily that, because like the reality is Brittany has been disliked since Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes. Like, right?
Yeah,
like
it's been,
I for whatever reason I do think it genuinely bothers people. I mean, bothers the wrong way. I don't know. People dislike the fact that he is not dating a celebrity, essentially,
which is even weirder than it being about the champagne thing.
I think that's generally why. So where it doesn't really matter what Brittany does, it's always going to be the wrong thing, right? It just doesn't matter.
Can we let people? Yeah. Can we let people be happy and do what they want, or no? No? Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Don't yell at me. I'm sorry.
I could certainly be wrong.
I forgot the answer to that question was clearly no.
But it's the only thing that this really seems to make sense, because it's been like that since day one. And there's never been like a real Jackson. I don't like Jackson. Live your best life, man.
Just not on the 21.
He has done some things every now and then where you're like, okay, I understand why somebody doesn't like. Brittany's never done that.
It's really
but
strange.
she's been disliked since day one, and I think it just has to do with that. Patrick Mahomes is the biggest star in the world, and people want him to be dating Olivia Munn or name whatever famous person you want.
Or even maybe even more simply, like. The first family of any organization is going to be under a different microscope. Mm-hmm. You're going to get that throughout politics and sports. And we know a lot about Aaron Rodgers' family dynamic, despite it mostly being a lack of one. Right. Like, we dig in on that anyway, I guess. But it feels like it's been weirdly vitriolic, especially also where Patrick Mahomes himself seems impossible to dislike unless you're just a fan of a different team and you're tired of him ripping your heart out. And in that case, understandable.
Understandable, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's very weird. But you mentioning TikTok reminded me of the fact that I got asked about that twice today. And I'm even wondering if I'm misjudging it nationally, because
everybody thinks you're a Zoomer. I think you're the young person in radio. There might not be a younger person in radio than you. And so people just naturally just assume, oh, Josh knows the TikTok.
Yeah. I don't know.
An amazing
it's kind of gross.
By the way. It still blows my mind.
They will find what you want to watch and they'll put it
TikTok
in front of you.
and Instagram ads have the perfect algorithm.
Instagram ads are brutal at this point. Like, it is rare that I see an ad and I don't click it. Now Mine is also... Have I mentioned that I have diabetes?
No.
So, if we made that a drinking game, I would be drunk and my blood sugar would be very high by the end of the segment every
nice
time.
Part is we're on a balcony, so if any people want to come out, Josh will spray you with champagne.
That would be great. I would love to do that. If we had a diabetes-based drinking game, though, that would be a problem. For every time I mention that fact. But now all of my Instagram ads, I get like 3 targeted Instagram ads a day that are about some like keto version of it's instead of jerky, it's chicken. It's like, okay, you get it. Like, yes, clearly I've been Googling low carb snacks, Instagram. Let me live.
All of mine are
just sell me a sweater.
Desk at this point are desk and desk accessories, right? Like creating your ultimate home office, essentially, because that's all I look at apparently now. I mean, it is, and Instagram knows,
right? They just own all of our information.
That was a specific minimalist desk setup, right? Like if you want a minimalist, which I'm pretty sure I literally word for word said to you maybe like Monday night this week.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm all right with trying to having all of my information if it means I can get these great Instagram ads.
You're just trying to get a good deal on a desk. And if that means that your own information isn't your own, well, then that's just part of the price. We all have to pay it so we can pay money to a desk company. It's a trade-off we all make. We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk about, not very much. It's going to be a short segment. And then here's the good news, though. Aaron Ladd and Matt Verderame will be here to give us some actual things to talk about around the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll do that with them at 8 and 9 o'clock. In the meantime, it's us. Sorry.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can.
and construction for being a company that cares.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Rudy, number 2.
The great, the legend, Cool Joe Montana.
That's what they called him. Cool Joe.
Cool Joe.
Cool Joe Montana.
Montana.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you want to just say the thing you said during the break, Rudy, about Cool Joe? Do you have time? I know it's going to be a little quick turnaround here. You're pushing a lot of buttons, putting you in a bad spot.
No, yeah, it's fine. So NBC had a graphic the other day. There's I think a week ago, of Joe Burrow, and it just simply said Cool Joe, and just the disrespect that they showed to Joe Montana. I mean, that's a Hall of Famer.
Joe Burrow's gotten a lot of nicknames really fast, by the way.
Yeah.
None of them are the Grim Reaper, but he's got a bunch.
Patriots fan tweeted at me just like, you know it's cheesy, right? Shut up. Your team sucks now. Have fun with Mac Jones throwing 3 passes a game.
Tom Brady's nickname was his initials and his number, and then he made it a company. Come on, shut up. Every nickname is kind of cheesy.
That's the point of a nickname.
That's the point of a nickname. That's why I exclusively now call Rudy the Rude Rhinoceros, which I learned yesterday he really hates and he just cursed about, but his mic was off, which is probably for the best.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Live Sunday at 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi, I'm Fred Ramsey.
And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi, this is Mark Ferguson, attorney at law. Do you push your limits a bit? You know what I'm talking about. Pushing the pedal on I-70, that last drink with friends. No one knows your limits better than you, except for our city's finest. If you find yourself with a traffic ticket, a DUI, or worse, give me a call, Mark Ferguson, for help. I can make your legal system experience go much smoother with fewer long-term consequences. Give us a call at 877-221-MARK. That's 877-221-MARK.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Dutch Boy Platinum Plus. It's only paint. It's only paint that comes in an award-winning twist and pour container. It's only paint that will transform your den with just 1 coat of salted lavender into a writer's sanctuary. It's only paint that will help you become TV's hottest writer, where you'll meet this guy.
Hey.
Who starred in that thing.
Now that's a twist I didn't see coming.
So yeah, it's only paint. Only easy opening, smooth pouring, change your life both professionally and romantically paint. Dutch Boy. Only at Menards.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-663-2211. That's 1-800-663-2211. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-663-2211.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
Good evening, I'm Steve Lennox. A big day of NFL news. Ben Roethlisberger announcing his retirement after 18 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pro Football Hall of Fame announcing Roethlisberger will be eligible for selection into Canton in 2027. On the coaching front, Broncos have hired Nathaniel Hackett as the team's new head coach. Hackett was the Packers' offensive coordinator the previous 3 seasons. He's the Broncos' 4th head coach since the start of the 2016 season. Bears have made it official, hiring Matt Eberflus as the team's 17th head coach in franchise history. 51-year-old comes to the Bears after serving as the Colts defensive coordinator the past 4 seasons. Both for Eberflus and Hackett, their first NFL head coaching jobs. According to a report from USA Today, Mike McCarthy has been told he will return as Cowboys head coach for next season. Mike Golick Jr. from Canty and Golick Jr. today on ESPN Radio.
Ed Warder's tweet made the point. Jerry Jones has declined to commit publicly until we hear something. And if we do hear something from Jerry on this front, it's going to be important. Because if not, every single time the Cowboys lost or get into a situation that starts to look grim next year, the headline on First Take and every other show is going to be about Sean Payton and his future as the coach of that organization. That's going to be the challenge for that team heading into next year, with that hanging over their heads.
And Dan Quinn will also stick around with the Cowboys and continue to serve as the team's defensive coordinator. Quinn interviewing with 5 teams for their openings. Dallas led the NFL this past season with 34 takeaways. NBA on ESPN radio affiliates right now, third quarter. Sixers on top, 72-61 on the Lakers.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Aaron Rodgers to Denver meter just went up. If I could play right now and Bill Parcells was coaching or Tony Dungy was coaching and I could play and they were there, I'd go play.
This and more, Friday, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Mahomes gets the shotgun snap, pumps, throws for the end zone to Kelsey, adjusting, makes the catch, touchdown! Travis Kelsey, and the Chiefs will host their 4th straight AFC Championship game.
Your exclusive home for the AFC and NFC Championship games and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Chiefs will host their 4th straight AFC Championship game.
As the Chiefs get set to take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Keep it on Sports Radio 810 for all the latest.
The Chiefs and the Bengals play for a trip to the Super Bowl.
Your exclusive home for the AFC and NFC Championship games and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
The 2 biggest detriments to me ever having like an actual radio career, I think, or I have 3 greatest detriments. Number 1, I have a bad memory. Number 2, I'm easily distracted. And number 3, I'm not good at radio.
With Joshua Brisco.
Also, he's not that likable.
I was going to say that next, actually. Yeah. I was going to say also, I'm not very likable.
You have a squeaky voice for radio.
Right, I do. I have a bad radio voice.
You have a girly laugh.
I definitely have a very girly laugh. I alienate people.
People don't like hipsters.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Certainly still plenty to talk about right now. Not even getting to what we'd mentioned earlier in the show, the fact that, like, KU and Kentucky play a basketball game this weekend. That snuck up on you. You can at least know you'll hear it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. College Game Day in Lawrence. We'll have that carried here in the morning as well. But we're not going to talk predominantly basketball. We're not going to talk about basketball right now at all. I'm going to just make the call. Unless Aaron Ladd really wants to. It is Aaron Ladd of KSHB 41. You can see him, of course, on Channel 41. You can follow him on Twitter at AaronLadd0. Aaron, I'm pretty sure I would have asked you this before, but I can't remember your answers. How did you land on the 0 whenever you needed to add a number after your name?
This was your last question the last time we talked.
Was it
so
really?
It's natural that you lead off with this one. I mean, it's like you've gotten better at radio, man. It's amazing. You're a professional.
My memory is useless. I'm not good at radio. I can't remember things. My memory is bad. I don't know if I mentioned that already.
The 0 was just it was one of those random generators, I think, honestly. And I pray that nobody is listening to this and is actually going to do their homework on this. But I think in my youth, I created at least 4 or 5 different Twitter accounts. And 0, the one that I have now, was just the last in that string.
Wow,
so
okay.
It's like when you have like 8 or 9 Gmail accounts. Like I think I have one that's like Falcons are good at Gmail. And I have like Aaron Ladd 770, which is the Atlanta area code. Like, I was just a child of the internet age, and that's how that came apart. So please don't do your research if you're listening now.
I definitely had an email that was Chiefs Dude was the front half of an email that I used to have. It was, I think there's something.
We all did it.
You have to, right? There's something about having your favorite sports team and then some other word in your first email address.
Yeah, I remember a teacher telling me, like, as I was getting into middle school and high school, she was like, "Look, y'all need to get like actual emails.
Yes.
You can't have like." Don't put 69 in your email. Don't put 420 in your email. Like, get a real email.
That was one of that ends up being one of the more longer lasting professional decisions that you can make, because you're gonna try to keep that email forever because you don't want to be changing your emails around all the time. But yeah, if you would have gone, Aaron Ladd 420 for your Twitter handle, and then that's the one that gets verified. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but it's going to be a unique thing for your brand, at least.
It would certainly be a brand decision,
yes.
One that I'm sure 41 would have some conflicts with. But so far they seem to enjoy Aaron Ladd 0, and I think that's the one that we're sticking with for now.
I hope I ask you about that next time we talk to you. I want you to come back on next week and let me ask about it in the middle of our conversation next time. Absolutely apropos of nothing. That would be perfect.
Well, now that we've talked about it, there's going to be an Aaron Ladd 420 that pops up that's dark side burner account, and finds all my great takes and uses them.
Now we are talking, because I am right now looking to see if that's taken or not. Oh, I put it in 3D.
No!
We're going to just see. I don't know if I can create one while we're doing the show, but the account doesn't exist. All right, whoever wants to race there. No. That's up to you. I'm not going to take it, but somebody else can. Aaron Ladd 420, please.
I had AC Bulldog 15 because we were the Anderson County Bulldogs, and my number was 15. Yeah, that was my email address for high school.
That is so good. Wow. Well, we could talk about our old email addresses, and were there any other usernames that I don't think I ended up with any really, really weird ones other than Chiefs Dude.
AC Bulldog was like always my go-to.
Aaron, what was your first? Here, let's do this. What was your first memory of an instant messaging service? Which one did you use? Me and one of my friends used Yahoo's Instant Messenger. I was not an AOL boy, but I had Yahoo Instant Messenger.
Dude, I'm going to be honest. I was mostly like a forum guy. Forums were like my introduction to internet culture. I was on Kanye to if anybody remembers that internet forum, it was like deep Kanye theories, and this is the kind of kid I was in the Good Friday era when Kanye was coming around. I mean, I was on there looking at pictures from like Kanye's chef in Miami. I mean, dude, I was deep in it. That was my introduction to like internet culture.
That's perfect, because that's a perfect on-ramp to like mostly probably harmless, but definitely a little weird, definitely a little obsessive kind of stan culture early on, and it helped you work on your typing skills or whatever.
I had digital formatting and memes down by the age of like 13 because of how many hours I spent on that forum. And I pray my mom's not listening either, because I was using like my PSP to go on these internet forums.
Oh yeah.
When I was restricted internet access. So this is what led to my journalism career, Josh. You're really digging deep here.
I like to really kind of find the roots of people like this, which is figuring out what forums you were a part of at age 13. I think that informs who we are now. Unsurprisingly, I was a big Club Penguin kid.
Oh, it fits. It fits. We all went through that phase, man.
Some of us recently went to see if Club Penguin had come back at any point. It hasn't yet. Seems like I think Disney bought it and shuttered it, which is probably good for the kids of today. But it did less damage to me than TikTok probably would have,
I remember meeting my first pink penguin down by the slopes and exchanging those, preordained messages, and then getting banned when, I slid in something that was against the guidelines, the community guidelines of Club Penguin.
It is so strange to have a realization of a basically shared memory of something that has been so far repressed. Oh my goodness, Aaron. Wow, that dug up some feelings.
I'm a little bit older, so Neopets. That was where
I spent more time on Neopets.
That was my first forum board.
Yeah, yep, same. I was all over the Neopets board. That is probably
the original
legit.
Y'all were deep in it. Y'all were deep in it.
I learned how to code on Neopets because you could code your like signature and like your homepage or whatever.
Yeah,
and I remember that's how I learned how to do some like early CSS
and in all
HTML.
seriousness, like that was like Neopets were the original NFT. Like everybody's like, "What's an NFT?"
Wow!
It was Neopets.
What?
Neopets were NFTs.
Ahead of its time.
I think you're right.
Yeah, genius.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been.
We need them back. Neopets needs to make a comeback.
I'll help you guys.
Disney should buy Neopets. Make that a thing.
My my Neopets are probably not happy with me. I'm not going to say that I have checked in regularly. No, I'm not sure that they are currently bloated, which is what it says whenever they're full. I remember that. But yeah, let's have a little Neopets reunion since Club Penguin's not coming back. Although remember the Minecart Racer game? That game was great. Put a lot of hours in that. Anyway, I'm glad we did this, but I guess I could also ask you about football, I guess. Do you want to do that or no? We can do more internet culture.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
At this point, what can we lose? Certainly not listeners. They're all gone. So I am almost ready to look ahead to the Chiefs Bengals, and that's where we're gonna spend the majority of like just our talking time here. But I want to know what Chiefs Bills was like for you, because everybody has a story and an experience now of their various like either panic attack or hilarious cackling laughter.
Man, it was the last minute of regulation specifically. You had already had a couple of league changes in that time, and it felt like I blacked out at a certain point.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the game. I was working from 41, so kind of just watching on the broadcast like a lot of people at home. And it, even with 13 seconds left, even with a minute or so, whatever, each time each team traded scores, you had a feeling that there was going to be a match, man. I was almost ready after Kelce made his touchdown. I was ready for Josh Allen to get a shot too. It was electric. It was everything that people have lauded upon this game all week. Best of the recent run, best Chiefs game of all time, playoff game, whatever. Take your pick. I don't think we can talk enough about this game just because of not only the manner and what happened, but also the stakes, Josh. Come on.
Well, so this is a question that a couple people have asked me lately, and I'll flip it to you, which is, with the fact that we are still here on Thursday, very actively wanting to revisit Chiefs Bills in a way that I have never, I don't think the Super Bowl had as much like reliving of some of those moments as this game had, because there were so bleeping many of these moments. But is there any thought in your mind at all that the Chiefs are going to come out against the Bengals and like realize they're playing a different football game then? Any thought of either overlooking or maybe a little bit of deflation as they have to try to get going again in a game that will be presumably not quite as much an instant classic?
Absolutely not. I think what motivates the Kansas City Chiefs now more than before is not the thrill of victory. And obviously there was a huge celebration afterwards, and we see Kelce and the mic'd up sound from that, which is amazing, man. That inside the NFL, everything they tweeted from that game and that ending. I mean, I had to hammer the retweet button because there was so much good stuff there. But I think what really motivates the Chiefs going into this game at Arrowhead on Sunday is just, the fear of cleaning out your locker. 13 seconds, right? I think they're motivated more so by the failure at this point than they are by accomplishing it. And I know that's kind of crazy to say, but when you're in that 13 seconds and kind of what we've heard from them, they know what's at stake here. And it's not just the motivation of beating teams the second time you play on. We know they've been great in rematches this year, but also avenging what happened in the biggest game of the year last year. No touchdowns in Tampa. That's got to motivate this group, and I think that motivates them to blow out Joey B and the Bengals more so than anything else.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the specifics of like there being a little bit of fear-based motivation here, I think is exactly right, because if they would have lost late in that game against the Bills, maybe the Travis Kelce play just doesn't quite happen, or the Bills win the coin toss and then go and score, whatever it would have been that would have ended that game. I think we would have been able to look back at that and go, man, I mean, a deeply disappointing way to end the season, of course, but like an instant classic where you saw the best of this offense and et cetera, et cetera. We could have rationalized it a little bit. And if they go lose to the Rams in the Super Bowl, we would probably be able to say, I mean, man, 3 Super Bowls in a row, only winning one of them's a bummer, but what a stretch that they're on, whatever. If they lose to the Bengals, I think this season suddenly, and maybe unfairly, catches like an air of disappointment. It's like, you guys did the hard thing. You won an impossible game last week, and then you have a Super Bowl right in front of you. But if they lose to the Bengals, like I actually kind of think the national narrative on the Chiefs season is going to get a lot darker than it even deserves to be, even if they were to lose this game.
Man, it's not just the national narrative. That's the local narrative too.
Absolutely.
I mean, we do a lot of pulse of the fan and Chiefs Kingdom, and always sending out polls on Twitter. And 12-5 and winning the AFC West for however many years they've won in a row, it's nothing for you now.
Yeah.
Like, Chiefs Kingdom has become numb to what the Mahomes era has brought them and the stats that come along with it. I mean, a loss to the Bengals on Sunday would, of course, make the season feel like it's a failure. And you take what you did in that final 2 minutes and overtime, and you bottle that up. And the thing that hits the hardest is the fear of losing and cleaning out your locker after the game, more so than celebration.
What right now would you be trying to keep in mind following up on the first round of this matchup? Because obviously the first Chiefs-Bills game was a million years ago. Team was very, very different and all of that. But in this instance, that game was just a few weeks ago, and obviously there were some outlandishly alien performances from Jamar Chase and to some extent Joe Burrow. What can the Chiefs learn? What do they need to learn from that?
They got to be aggressive in the trenches. This one is going to be one along the defense and the offensive line. If you're Chris Jones, if you're Jaron Reed, if you're Frank Clark, you're salivating thinking about how many Big Macs you're going to eat after this one, after the Bengals allowed 9 sacks in Tennessee. I'm not saying Tennessee's defense is anything to sneeze at, because that's a great defensive line as well. But they got home 4 times in that Week 17 matchup. Chris Jones had 2 of them. You add the stakes. You add Chris Jones and Frank Clark and what they've been able to do together, especially in the postseason. And I think that's the matchup that I'm watching right there as far as improvement. The Jamar Chase, of course. And I was saying earlier today, if he even gets half, I think it was 11 catches for 266 and 3 scores. Yeah. If you go 5 catches for 150 and a score, I think everybody in Chiefs Kingdom would take that one. And that's still a bad day at the office for most corners. So that's a given. Obviously, you want to bottle up one of their other guys, because I do think there is going to be one of their other guys who does it. If it's Higgins, Boyd, Uzomah, Mixon, whatever, limit them to Jamar Chase's production combined from Week 17.
This is the thing that I've been trying to find the proper narrative on this whole season, really, because what it ultimately comes down to here, I think, is that Jamar Chase's performance there's the outlier. But the Chiefs haven't gotten cooked by a number 1 pass catcher this year outside of that game. Like, Stephon Diggs was a non-factor except on the 2-point conversion against Buffalo, and then it was all Gabriel Davis. But, like, for the most part, secondary guys have had to step up. Now that the Chiefs have seen a ton of elite number 1 receivers, and when they did, Devontae Adams didn't have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to him, so that obviously changed things. But is Jamar Chase just different? Is there something that they should be doing differently in terms of keeping an eye on him? Like you said, you have to also account for the rest of that offense.
And, L'Jarius Sneed was asked about this today because Jamar Chase was a problem for them, and Andy Reid has called him the complete package. It's kind of crazy for a guy that couldn't catch the football in the preseason.
Yeah.
Outside of the one bust that out of the second half, which will give him, got the yards after catch. Nobody's catching him when he's got the ball in the open space there. I thought they were mostly contested. They were good balls. Maybe on the 3rd and 23, you don't send an all-out blitz or an engage 8, a Madden play, and you give them a little help. But I'm kind of with you on trusting the system and trusting what Spags has done against number 1 receivers. They haven't gotten burned. And all things considered, the secondary isn't as highly touted as you would say some other units are from a talent-wise perspective. Getting Tyrann Mathieu back is going to help. We know that. Full participant at practice on Thursday. Expect him to play. Rashad Fenton looks like he'll play as well. Trust the scheme. Trust your guys. and don't give up 266 and 3 scores. That's
Right.
the bar, man.
Right.
Like, that's the bar.
Well, that's something also, Spags talked about that today, and like you said, so Tyrann Mathieu was I've never seen this before. I didn't know that this was legal, but apparently it is. Tyrann Mathieu was a full participant in practice, but has not cleared concussion protocol. I don't know how that works, but it's what the Chiefs have told us, and I'm sure he will officially clear the protocols tomorrow. I know that could take some time. I didn't know you could practice with your helmet on while still being in the protocols, but whatever. Good that Tyrann Mathieu seems to be feeling better.
I was thinking about this, too. Same thing, kind of weird. When Mahomes was in protocols coming out of the divisional round last year, did he practice with a helmet? I know he practiced, but maybe he was limited. I was trying to think back to that situation. Do you remember?
What I do remember is that no one with the Chiefs ever used the C word. No one ever said concussion, because there was some talk of like it being like a blood flow, airflow, chokeout thing. Yeah. I don't remember, because I think he was in protocols of some sort there. But I definitely don't think he was ever a full participant pre getting the stamp of approval there. I thought we were going to hear today that he got cleared. But
I vaguely remember, I think Matt Derrick might have said this. This would have been like, I think last season, like a full, use the term once, full participant in a limited practice.
Huh, yeah.
So I feel like that might be like a Tyrann Mathieu situation, right? Like he's a full, like it was not a full, he's a full participant in a limited practice type of situation.
Yeah. I hadn't seen that designation before, but like you said, he looks like he'll be back. And having Fenton back also, I mean, and you mentioned both of them, and Spags talking about them also. I mean, he said today that against Buffalo, they had an entire package that they had to throw out whenever Mathieu got hurt, that they were planning on bringing specifically for the Bills. And I don't love the idea of having one defensive player, take away a whole plan that you had, but Tyrann Mathieu in the back end there without anybody else that would be any sort of replacement for him. I mean, that makes sense to me. I just also remember that this secondary was in relatively good shape against the Bengals the first time, and I don't know how to feel about that, because I feel better about the unit today than I would have, whatever it was, 10 snaps into the defense against the Bills. But I'm also still worried because Jamar Chase is an alien.
Heck, and even when we say the bar is 266 and 3 scores, look at what Gabe Davis did.
Yeah.
And your offense still goes out there and gives you a shot to win the game. It is, what do we know, man? At the end of the day, what do we know? I could sit here and say, don't give up 266 and 3 scores, and the Chiefs could still win by 14 points, and I'm looking like an idiot at the end of the day. What do we know? And I think the propensity comes from the fact that the Chiefs have won in so many different ways this year, man. They've won in 2-score games where they turn the ball over 4 times. They've won in 2-score games where they rock it off in overtime. It's looked so many different ways for Kansas City, and Sunday was one of the most special of them all.
Where are you out on Joe Burrow right now in like the whole package? Where's your confidence level, or what do you think of him at this point?
Man, it's around that time of the year where a lot of fan bases are in their off season, so we're seeing the rank these 5 quarterbacks in order. And Joe Burrow to me is 2, 3, 4 range, right? When you're talking Herbert, when you're talking Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes,
Josh Allen.
Herbert,
yeah.
Yes, Josh Allen. I knew I was going to miss one. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm here for.
Sorry, Buffalo. Joe Burrow's in that range, and we've heard monster praise from him. Steve Spagnuolo compared him to Tom Brady today, and L'Jarius Sneed basically said, that's not far off for a young quarterback. Yeah. He doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. He's not going to put his team in a bad position. And, heck, he's got the worst line in football in there in the AFC title game in his second year.
Good point.
He's a gamer, man. He's a coach's son. I hate to use that term, as cliche as it is, but you got to feel comfortable if you're Cincinnati. When you're trying to build a successful organization and you go front office, coach, quarterback, it looks like they've gotten the coach and quarterback part of that right.
Yeah. This is a strange place to be because I always yell at people for spending too much time talking about the Chiefs' defense and not enough time talking about Patrick Mahomes, even though we talk about him plenty. We could probably talk about him more. But specifically for Chiefs-Bengals, like 85% of the words spent on this game, I think from a Kansas City perspective, have been about Chiefs' defense versus Bengals' offense. is there anything left to say about the Chiefs' offense? Because my inclination would be that if they play their best offensive game, you and me could start on defense and it might not matter because we're all just trading scores.
Absolutely. And the Chiefs' offense, to me, has always come down to two position groups. It's the running back room, which has been banged up, and there's a lot of different faces in there, and how does Mahomes trust those guys, not only in the run game, but also in the short pass game, and Andy schemed them open in the screen game. But also the other guys in the wide receiver room, Pringle, Hardman, Robinson. What contributions do they give you, not only on those key downs, but also in the red zone? Playoff P is not Patrick Mahomes. It's Byron Pringle. Got 3 scores in the last 2 games for the Chiefs. And not only does Mahomes trust him in the red zone, Travis Kelce trusts him in the red zone. That's who his touchdown pass goes to. And as much as McCole Hardman was the ire of Chiefs Kingdom, not only throughout the regular season, but going back to when he was drafted, he's really come on late as a gadget guy. I think it was 18 touches and 216 scrimmage yards over the past 3 games for Hardman. Obviously went over 100 for the first time as a receiver in that Denver Broncos game. The other guys have to play a role. Kelce and Hill obviously stole the show with how sexy that ending was in the divisional round. But the other guys help get you there, and they help keep your offense on pace. And I still haven't mentioned Patrick Mahomes yet, Josh. I'm sorry. And we don't talk about him enough.
Right, because it's almost impossible to talk about him enough, and also we talk about him too much. Like, it's just because you want to spend time on the other guys, but right now the game is replaying on NFL Network, and so I have that up in here. And like there are plays, there's plays early in the third quarter where Mahomes goes scrambling to his right and tiptoes around and still manipulates the pocket, and this play ends in a throwaway, or ran out of bounds. And still you watch that play like, oh, that play alone is some sort of stupendous because of what he did in the pocket and where he kept his eyes the entire time. Oh, that's the play where Tony Romo drew some phallic diagramming right after. I remember screenshotting that to show to people because I was trying to gauge.
That is your brand.
It's my brand.
That's your brand to a T.
100%. Is that I want to talk about Patrick Mahomes and then Tony Romo drawing a phallic symbol on the telestrator. But I'm glad you mentioned both the running backs and McCole Hardman because those are 2 things that I absolutely agree we should be talking about more. I came to this conclusion on Hardman a few days ago, and I at least was able to finally put words to it, which is that he is significantly more fun to watch whenever you stop focusing on what he isn't, which I understand is hard because they draft him in the 2nd round. And at the time, he's drafted as almost Tyreek Hill insurance because a lot of stuff was happening during that really literally day. And he's going to get compared to Tyreek Hill forever because they're both 2 incredibly fast dudes in the same offense. And Hardman is not the all-around receiver that Hill is, but like you laid out there, we have seen him make genuinely really massive contributions. Just they're not Tyreek Hill-sized contributions, but who is supposed to reach that level?
It is unfortunate that he's always going to be tied to the circumstances around the pick and who also was selected around him, around the league, because he has made contributions to this team, and they've had to get creative in how they use him as well. I think when a player is benched like McCole was halfway through the year, a lot of times fans see it as a sole indictment on the player. It's like, well, you just need to get better. You just need to do this and get on the same page with Patrick. But these are relationships. Sometimes relationships fail because work of both parties. And I think we've seen both parties come together. And when I say both parties, I mean the Chiefs coaching staff and obviously McCole Hardman, to not only on him say he needed to commit to what he was capable of doing and put the work in and the maturity thing, but also execution, man. Just going out there and getting it done. And like you said, him in space, good luck.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have 2 of those guys.
And then the running backs, I mean, that room is interesting, and I think that they probably have gotten more dynamic as it seems like, at least during this stretch. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has found a more of a, come in and throw a couple of punches sort of role as opposed to we got to feed 25. But you get Jerick McKinnon, and the offense, to me, just looks fluid and comfortable with McKinnon out there. And then you have Clyde in as an off speed. Darrell Williams, it looks like he's working his way back. I mean, the versatility in that group right now, I do think is genuinely pretty interesting. It sounds like you think the same thing.
Yeah, I really hope, like you were saying with McCall, it's so much more fun to think about what he is than what he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that Chiefs Kingdom gets to the same point with Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he really brings that element to this offense that they need and that they use and that obviously the front office saw when they drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing him back last week and kind of the versatility that you have, they remind me of Neapolitan ice cream. Sometimes the chocolate hits, sometimes the vanilla hits, sometimes the strawberry hits. But when you get that scoop that has all three flavors in it, Josh,
that's the good
you
stuff.
got something special. You got something that no other ice cream can compete with, and that's the Chiefs running back room.
Okay, which running back is which flavor? I think I have mine locked in for sure. But I want to know your three before I tell you mine. No, we're safe. We're all right. We're all right. We're good.
I go Clyde as my chocolate because he is the base. He gets you set up.
Fan favorite.
Daryl is my vanilla. Daryl is my vanilla because they're good friends. Chocolate and vanilla go way back, so we'll put them in the same room. And then Jarek is my strawberry. He's my change of pace. He's my shifty. Sometimes you get that chunk of strawberry that's in there too. Oh my goodness.
Rudy and I are just sitting here smiling at each other because we both had the exact same. That's it. Yep. I think that is factually the right answer. Your logic was perfect. What a breakdown, man. Rudy, you had something to add.
We'll be comparing Patrick Mahomes to an ice cream flavor next time I'm on. I got to think on that one.
Yeah, I do too. It's gotta be like a Ben and Jerry's flavor that just has everything but in perfect balance. It's gotta be, or maybe Patrick Mahomes is like a dozen cookies. I don't know. Maybe can he be an ice cream flavor? I'm really not sure. What's your favorite ice cream flavor, Aaron?
Oh, this is going to upset many. I'm not an ice cream guy, actually. And if I had to choose, it would be strawberry on its own. I was Dave and Buster's, not Dave and Buster's, but it was the 30s, Baskin Robbins.
Baskin Robbins, okay. You big
strawberry is my favorite ice cream flavor.
Really? Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. Strawberry's the best. I was also going to make the joke, partly why I agree with Aaron's analogies, because Jerick McKinnon's my favorite running back and Strawberry's my favorite.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's even higher praise from McKinnon from both of you. Strawberry ice cream is great. I just I don't think about it as being like a one seed for some people, but
it's my favorite. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great to know. I can't think of a better way to end this conversation than on comparing Chiefs running backs to Neapolitan ice cream flavors, but I will let you tell me what you think this game is going to entail, how you're feeling right now. Something dangerously close to a prediction even, if you'd like.
Dangerously close to a prediction. I have been going Chiefs 35, Bengals 21 all week. We'll let you know if my heart wavers at all. But I can see the Bengals striking first and Kansas City maybe running off 21 unanswered after that. I just think, like we talked about earlier, once you bottle up that fear, once you bottle up that 13-second feeling of, hey, there's no going back from here, you know what's at stake, and having the home juice, you just can't underestimate what that will do for this offense. So, yeah, I think they put up 35 and win by 2 scores.
Number 0 on Twitter, number 1 in your hearts. Aaron Ladd, thank you very much for your time here tonight. We'll talk again soon. Let me know whenever you've got more Chiefs players to compare to desserts.
My man, thank you so much. Y'all be easy.
Aaron Ladd 0 on Twitter, okay? At Aaron Ladd 0. And, of course, you can see him on KSHB 41, Channel 41, number 1 in your hearts as well. But you can get all of his work there and everything else he does. He'll tweet it out. What you got to do is follow him, and then sometime in like 6 months, just tweet him a picture of a pink Club Penguin, and just see if he blocks you. I'll be curious to find out. You know what? Hey, Siri. Remind me to send Aaron Ladd a picture of a Club Penguin in 6 months. Perfect.
Okay. Added.
Thank you, Josh.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Live Sunday at 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you know what the top 3 New Year's resolutions are? Losing weight, quitting smoking, and paying off credit cards. A1 Mortgage can't help you lose those pounds or put out the smoke, but we can help you with a fast, easy refinance that will knock out that credit card debt. Call A1 Mortgage at 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888, or apply online at a1mortgage.com. Contact A1 Mortgage and ask about the fast, easy refinance that has no out-of-pocket closing costs, no application fee, and you can even skip 2 months of payments. So call your doctor about losing those holiday pounds and kicking the nicotine. Call A1 Mortgage about helping with those holiday bills. 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888, or apply online at a1mortgage.com.
A1 Mortgage, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
A1 Mortgage Group, LLC, a Kansas and Missouri licensed mortgage company, NMLS 268370. Terms and conditions apply, subject to change without notice.
Where'd you get that grin? Right above your chin.
Cookie Casanova Jackhammer is back. Hurry in for hot fudge, warm, store-baked cookies, and frozen custard. And be sure to stock up on pints or quarts for your playoff viewing parties this season. Andy's Frozen Custard. We know where you got that grin.
With a smile at Andy's, top your day. With a smile at Andy's, top your day.
Westlake Commercial, a division of Westlake Ace Hardware, is your one-stop shop for bulk quantities of ice melt. Westlake Commercial offers organic and non-chloride solutions, pallet quantities, commercial-grade materials and packaging, plus job site delivery is available. Our dedicated account representatives provide personalized service for all your business needs, so you can focus on what's important, running your business smoothly. To learn more, visit westlakehardware.com and click commercial at the top, or visit your nearest store today.
This is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Hey Kansas City, Stephen St. John here to tell you more about my friends at Hy-Vee. I love shopping at Hy-Vee for healthy snacks and meals for my family to keep us on track in the new year. My family and I love the meals to go at Hy-Vee. I love the sushi, my wife loves the salmon, and everyone loves the pizza, especially my kids. With the high price of gas right now, I'm always excited to see how much I save at the pump with my Fuel Saver discounts. At my last fill-up, I saved 90 cents a gallon. We're trying to eat right in 2022, so my family and I sit down, make out our grocery list, and I just scan the H-shaped QR code with my smartphone, and that takes me directly to HyVeeDeals.com, where I find hundreds of weekly hot deals. And Hy-Vee makes shopping so convenient for me with aisles online. Hy-Vee's personal shopper service that allows me to order from home and have my groceries delivered, or I pick them up for free, only at Hy-Vee.
It's another championship weekend as we find out who's heading to the Super Bowl on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tune in to hear the Chiefs and Bengals at 2 in the AFC Championship game. And the Rams and 49ers kick off at 5:30 on ESPN Kansas City in the NFC Championship game. Live coverage is presented by Infinity Kansas City and Elevated Nissan, Continental Siding, the Kansas City Acura Dealers, Creative Planning, Hendrick Automotive Group, and Lincoln University. Kansas City knows a winner. And for selecting your next car, Aristocrat Motors Pre-Owned of Lee Summit is a winner. Aristocrat Motors means quality pre-owned vehicles. Combine that quality with the convenience of their pre-owned facility in Lee Summit and their largest selection ever, and it means they have a car, SUV, or sports car that will fit your needs. Aristocrat Motors Pre-Owned Lee Summit, 704 Southeast Oldham Road, just off Highway 150 and Hamlin Road, or online at aristocratmotorsls.com.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
In case you're wondering if you're listening to the best possible sports media right now, on NFL Network's Players Only show, they're debating if J.J. Watt never played another down, would he still be a Hall of Famer?
With Joshua Brisco.
Are you crazy? Of course he would. And see, that's the thing, man. If you're sitting here going, God, that last segment
How's that even a debate?
That last segment was weird and bad. Well, bleep you. That's your option. Go to NFL Network.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Aaron Ladd, KSHB 41. Follow him on Twitter at AaronLadd0. I just love talking to Aaron. I forgot we were doing a radio show in there for a little bit. Rudy, just let me know whenever we're back. What?
Best dude at KSHB 41.
I really like Nick Jacobs and Todd Palmer.
They're good.
Yeah.
Clever podcast name they got.
Uh-huh. Imagine on the sports side, not saying anything about it, but yeah, I mean, among the sports side,
for sure.
You said dude. You said dude. So you're not including Haley Lewis, who also wonderful. Megan. Megan. We got to mention Megan.
Yeah.
Megan's great.
Megan is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all my favorite people.
Nailed it. Yeah, we nailed it.
All my favorite people at KSHB 41, I think. Yep. I mean, again, if there's anybody,
I hear their boss sucks.
Yeah, he's a real pain. Nick, I think. Nick Schefter.
I think it's Mitch.
Mitch Schefter.
Not really to Adam Schefter, weirdly enough, but
also haven't gotten a text from anybody whose name even seems similarly Mitch-like about doing the show tomorrow night. Starting to wonder if we should hold these jokes until next week. Anyway, you really ought to go follow Aaron on Twitter. He's a good follow. Good dude. Rudy, here's
the thing, man. The headphone got it messed up, and now I'm just having like a hard time.
Put the camera on yourself for the sake of Twitch. No, just you gotta lean into it for a second. I'll explain what's happening for the listening audience.
I just need to be able to see it.
Rudy right now has one Loki horn shooting out of the side of his head. I want you to stop trying to fix it. I want you to embrace it. I want you to embrace the fact that
I'm embracing it.
I'm trying.
Here's the thing. It's the first day. Anytime I wash my hair, the first day the hair is a little bit out of control. Like I really got to rein it in. And usually, the next day 2 and day 3 are perfect.
It looks like a car hood open on one side. It just won't stay. It won't stay where it's supposed to be. It's
a good thing. I learned a valuable life lesson from our friend Mitchell.
Yeah.
Always have hairspray on you. I always have some in the office.
That was a Mitch Schefter lesson?
Maybe. He works in TV. It seems likely I learned that lesson from somebody in TV.
Yeah. Probably wasn't from Lebo.
Great hair.
Easy to manage for sure.
Lebo's got the best hair in the game is what I say.
I don't really have anywhere else to go with that joke. Feels like the bit I feel like Rudy got the last laugh, and
it's a mess. I'm gonna have to fix this in the break.
I don't want you to. I want you to let it become more and more disheveled. It looks like a toupee that's barely only stuck down on one side, but it's just one chunk of hair.
Definitely fixing this during the break.
No, I think you made it worse by moving your headphones. That's good.
Of course I did. At this point, nothing's gonna fix. There's nothing I can do to it without hairspray.
It gains a little life of its own and just sort of flutters off. I need a new contact photo for you.
Yeah.
So can you put that paper down?
What number are we going with?
Yeah, we're gonna hear from Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo. As soon as you pull that paper down away from your face, so I could. No, not on. Oh, the mic. Hey, the mic stand got fixed. At least that's huge.
It did get fixed. You happy?
No, I haven't. Picture. I'd like to take my picture, please.
Take your picture.
It's in all 7 pixels. In fact, my phone doesn't even know.
Far enough distance.
Yeah,
here's the one.
You're 9 pixels.
My hair is the one thing I can get sensitive about.
So I try to.
Good hair.
Whenever I know that about you, and so whenever I've deleted these 2 pictures because they're just simply nothing.
It's not gonna work.
Whenever I see that, I try to be the friend that's like, hey, you got something in your teeth,
For sure.
Because I want that friend in my life.
For sure.
Also, for if my hair's just flying off in a direction, I want to know. I know you want to know.
Absolutely. It's just for whatever reason, it's a little out of control today.
You could say, now, Josh, are you a good friend to bring this up on air? I mentioned it off air first, I think, right? That's basically the same thing as not mentioning it on air.
Yeah. You definitely did. But no, I mean,
I'm a hero.
No, here's the thing. Like the whole you should on air, off air. Like I've willingly put my life out there on the air. Like that doesn't bother me any. I think it's fair to put all of my issues out there on air. Now, if it was I would say actually Renee signed up for it. She's married, and she knows that some of those stories can go on there.
Yeah.
But just some of your friends, right? People who you just old roommates and whatnot, right? They didn't sign up for all their business to be out over the air. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely did tell everyone that my friend Grant microwaved salsa.
Well, he's a pervert.
And I think that makes him a pervert. Yeah. I definitely said that on the air, and that wasn't necessarily for radio.
That's definitely a liner.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I may have played it this week. I feel like I played it sometime soon.
We talked about it because we were talking about shot clock reviews.
Yeah,
but,
that's what it was. That's what it was.
It's just that stuff makes it to air.
Yeah, we should take a break so I can fix my hair.
We can do that and we can come back and play. Speaking of on air, she's not in the room. She's over behind Rudy. But we have a new intern Adele.
She left her residency in Vegas because it wasn't ready.
I should have done this whenever she was in a place. Where just Adele, come up to the mic, to Rudy's microphone here. Can she hear me? Is that?
If the mic's on, she can't hear you.
Okay,
once
so
I turn the mic off.
Kill your microphone. I want to ask you one question, Adele, and then we do need to take a break. You can come up to the microphone or just shout from your chair. Either way is fine. How sick of you? How sick are you? How sick of yourself are? How sick are you of Adele jokes?
Oh, they never get old. I'm used to them. I expect them, actually.
That's even worse, because what you just said is that Rudy's predictable.
I'm the guy who has the name based off of a movie. I'm allowed. It's like, right, like I'm allowed. Like, I get it. Every time somebody walks up to me, they're like, oh, Rudy. I'm like, yeah, the movie. I get it. Dumb little short man.
I didn't ask Adele, but I wonder if she, if her Twitter handle is @NotThatAdele, because that could be, maybe you guys could actually have like some common ground there.
Could be our thing.
Rudy's Twitter handle is, of course, @NotThatRudy.
Because I'm not that Rudy.
Because he's not that Rudy. He's the other one.
I'm the other one. Yeah.
On me, but I don't have a Twitter.
No Twitter?
No Twitter. That's a healthy lifestyle.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm jealous, honestly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to say that we ought to try to get that. You know what's available username-wise? Aaron Ladd 420. Would you like to be Aaron Ladd 420? Because that would be awesome.
I wish I didn't have a Twitter. Nothing good comes from Twitter. Except for back in the day, I did get to see the Club Penguin memes. But that was it. That's the only good thing that I ever got from Twitter.
Why is the phrase "not Wordle" trending?
Oh boy, are we canceling Wordle already?
Oh no, not Wordle! Oh wait, I said it. It's trending. No, it's the meme format that I saw the Royals tweet earlier today. It's people tweeting out things that are not Wordle.
Oh,
gotcha. It's just the little squares in different colors. The Royals did a.
I saw
Vision
Polygon. I think did like the Infinity Gauntlet. Somebody did a Marvel thing.
We'll take a break, and then during the break, I'm gonna see if I can do a not Wordle but Rudy's hair trying to escape his scalp and leave his body to go to land on another planet. It's fine, Rudy. You ought to start Twitch again.
It's not fine. Honestly, the problem is also if I even if I switch over to my camera, I'm so tall, my hair does not show in the picture. I got like ducked down.
And then you duck down, it gets worse.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Look, man, there's no shame in just having a bad toupee day.
It's not a toupee.
I've never questioned your hair before, but I am starting to wonder right now.
It's real, okay? I'm a real boy.
Hey, AES diehards.
I don't got that Bill Self money.
Twitch viewers. I don't even know what that means. Twitch viewers and Facebook viewers and YouTube viewers. And
Ringerverse. Aspen, thank you. Ringerverse did the Infinity Gauntlet.
People who really like this show on a really kind of like deeply and perhaps upsettingly wonderful level. Good news. New Rudy Insecurity just dropped. We can have this one forever. You want to get under Rudy's skin whenever the Nuggets win a basketball game?
In all seriousness, all you have to do is say something about that's the one. I mean, I've got many insecurities. Let's be honest. I only have one insecurity. I know myself. That's just my biggest one.
The thing is, you have great hair, Rudy.
One of my insecurities is in fact the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, because people try to tell me he's not, the greatest basketball player. I'm just like, he is, obviously.
No, but you do have great hair.
I do.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, not today though. I mean, it's actually been good for like 95%. My hair today is kind of like how your pancreas is right now. It's been good for like 80% of the day. It's just that other 20% is just coming at a very inopportune time.
You can't inject better hair.
Well, actually, we have ads for that.
Yeah, fair enough, actually. We'll take a break whenever we come back. Are we going to have time to play one of these audio clips? Let's find out.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Live Sunday at 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Well, you know what they say. Less is more. Unless they're talking about Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore. At Lucas, more is less. With the largest selection for 500 miles, Lucas sells as much beer, wine, and spirits in a week as some stores sell in a year. That's how Lucas can sell it all for less. Much less. Come choose from literally thousands of craft beers, hard-to-find wines, craft whiskeys, and exotic spirits. Explore it all with expert help in person or explore online at lucaskc.com, where that incredible selection is all available to order for curbside pickup. And if you live in Missouri, they can even deliver it right to your door. Lucas Wine and Spirits Superstore. In the Northland, just west of Liberty at 152 in Flintlock. In Overland Park, near 119th and Metcalf. And in South KC at 135th and State Line.
Lucas Wine and Spirits Superstore. In a glass by itself.
Saturday at midnight, our special Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship pregame begins on Sports Radio 810 WHB. At 9 a.m., fire up your tailgate with Tyrann Mathieu and the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show. At 2, it's on. The Chiefs and Bengals with Westwood One's live coverage of the AFC Championship game. Then we're back with Kansas City's best postgame show and the NFC Championship game on ESPN Kansas City. It's all on your home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. We want to wish everyone a wonderful 2022. New inventory has just arrived for the new year, and we are excited for what we have to offer you. Trucks, cars, and SUVs, we have it all. The entire team at Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you with respect. We take great pride in providing exceptional customer service that keeps the golden rule at the forefront of everything we do. Come see us today at the Legends in KCK or online at victoryfordkc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. It's freezing outside. Are you feeling the cold air coming into your home? Heater running constantly? If so, you need new windows. Window Nation wants to help keep you warm inside with their 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest offer for a limited time. Get new windows and keep all of your cold, hard cash in your nice, warm pocket for 2 years. And this is even cooler. Window Nation is giving you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. There's no limit. Let Window Nation get you out of the deep freeze. Get your home winterized with energy-efficient Window Nation windows, and you'll be warmly rewarded with lower energy bills. Pay nothing until 2024. Plus, you'll get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy. Now is the very best time for the very best deal of this brand new year. Call Window Nation today at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com, and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I maintain that the only act of kindness I'd like to see from Pitbull anytime soon is his own retirement.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Intern Adele has been welcomed by the video stream viewers. Unfortunately, that does also include this from Chaotic Warrior, who said, "Hello from the other side."
She's laughing.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Chaotic Warrior can have a gold star. I'm not giving him out, but if she wants
clever.
to, it's up. I'll leave that to her. You guys are miserable. We can't have anyone over.
You just don't like having fun.
People say that about me all the time.
All the time.
You know, I feel like I'd get along with Josh better if he just wasn't so serious all the time. He's just so high strung. I mean, that part is actually true. He just takes everything so seriously. Do you have time to play an audio clip? Sure we do.
Yeah, we do.
This one's only 30 seconds. The one that I really want to hear from right now is from Steve Spagnuolo. It was a question from the press conference today. I mentioned it earlier, talking to Aaron, that you hear a little bit from Spags about what losing Tyrann Mathieu actually did mean to that defense right away against Buffalo, and also getting Rashad Fenton and now Tyrann Mathieu back in this game for this upcoming game as they're in the direction right now. That's where they're pointed. That's huge, but obviously they didn't have those guys last week, and Spags talked about the impact.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we need all of our guys. It was took us a little bit by surprise, obviously, when Tyrann got hurt early. We did have a package. We were going to do something a little bit different, that we had to throw the thing completely out, that we had especially for Buffalo. So that set us back a little bit. But then, it's like we've always said, right? Somebody's got to step up, and the guys did that. We didn't play, nearly the defense we wanted to when it was all said and done, but we navigated through it. And fortunately for us, our offense made some plays, and we're still playing football.
having to throw out an entire package whenever you lose a guy is obviously rough. Something else that, talking to Seth Kaiser ahead of today's Times Ours podcast that's out now, and even in the podcast talked about this some, but mentioned the idea that, like, you know, the other thing that the Chiefs weren't doing after Tyrann Mathieu went out, they weren't disguising much. They weren't moving much. And man, I'm not very good at watching for this live in real time. I am not at a point right now as a football watcher, and I'm telling you this as a person on the radio talking to you about football. But like Chris Collinsworth sometimes after a play will have a note to make on 3 different things that happen in 3 different places on the field in a single play before we've had time to even see the replays. I have really tried to improve how I watch football over the last 5 years especially. And it's definitely better. But I am not at a point where I can watch 4 positional battles at the same time. That's what the rewatch is often for. But if you want to watch for something different with the Chiefs defense in particular, whenever the Bengals are on the field, you don't want to just watch where Joe Burrow's throwing the ball. You don't have to watch the quarterback in the pocket. Watch the pre-snap motion and then the motion that happens at the snap. I was even just looking at a few plays from the last time the Chiefs and Bengals played a few weeks back, and some of those rotations and the different looks they try to show, even just, Dan Sorensen moving up and then back, or walking up to the line a little bit and then turning around and sprinting right as the ball's about to be snapped. The point of all of that is to make the quarterback guess. It's a very limited advantage the defense has, right? The offense knows what they want to do. They know their play. You have to react to that. But if you can make them guess wrong about what you're about to be doing, you suddenly get a little bit of an advantage back that you would have lost because obviously the offense is the side that knows the play call. And so there are a number of factors that the Chiefs lost there, including just losing Rashad Fenton, who's been excellent, as Seth mentioned, excellent in the zone defense they want to play. And I am very glad to see both of those guys back. We'll talk about that with Matt Verderame next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Chiefs and Bengals in the... This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
He lives in Minnesota where he's probably got 9 feet of snow right now. Is he flying out the driveway to go get a McFlurry?
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It's the quietest week-long lead-up to an AFC Championship game that I can remember. Certainly the shortest and quietest one for one involving the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, yes, at this point, it's old hat, right? 4 in a row at Arrowhead Stadium. Sure, who doesn't do that? Oh, anyone else ever? That makes sense. But it's funny because even right now, as we speak, and as we are about to talk to our friend Matt Verderame of FanSided, you can check out his work at fansided.com, Stack in the Box, Arrowhead Addict, the podcast, and their in-game and post-game coverage, all of that. You can follow him on Twitter again, at Matt Verderame, and get all of his work through there. But even as we're about to talk here, Matt, I'm watching NFL Network where they are replaying Chiefs-Bills. Tyreek Hill just had the punt return. Jim Nantz, although it's on mute, I'm sure said his line there of it being a pivotal moment in the game. And oh my goodness, little did he know.
The craziest ending to a game, like in terms of full on 2 minutes, I mean, you see maybe crazier, like a one-off play, like the Minneapolis Miracle or something. But in terms of the final 2 minutes and then bonus football and overtime, that's got to be the craziest ending in a game of consequence ever. It has to be. I mean, again, you've had like a one-off play, like the immaculate reception. In terms of the back, I mean, there was 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes of the game, and then that doesn't even include overtime. We have the other 6 points, so 31 all told. Everybody says, "Oh, it's such a shootout," and it was in the end. It was 26-21 with 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, "Oh, Kansas City's defense was terrible in that game." They threw up 21 points without Mathieu, without Fenton. I mean, now woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I mean, if they get off the field on 4th and 13, they win 26-21 in all likelihood, and that's it. But. And everybody's going, wow, that defense was great. Well, I mean, now they didn't, and they fell apart. That's on them. But just an unbelievable football game.
I just, the funny thing, I don't know if, I mean, that's good analysis there, but I don't know how much more analysis any of us have been able to do over that back and forth beyond, are you kidding me? Did you watch it? What are we watching? Maybe the only other thing that I have particularly gleaned out of that last couple of minutes there is that it was a great showcase for Josh Allen in a losing effort. And we don't give that to quarterbacks ever. Like, people are mad online about Jimmy Garoppolo critiques because he keeps winning. But I don't think I've seen a single person give any sort of criticism to Josh Allen, and I don't disagree.
No, how could you?
Right.
Josh Allen, my job right after that game ended was to go on the Arrowhead Act podcast and give immediate analysis of that.
Mm-hmm.
Which anyone who's ever met me, heard me speak, they know that it's hard to get me where I really have nothing to say. And I sat there for an hour just stammering like a moron because I was like, I don't tell you. They won. That's all I've got for you. They won the game. It was unbelievable. I was texting with someone involved in the game afterwards, and they sent me, I just said something to the effect of, like, that was the craziest football game I can ever remember. And the person responded by sending me a screenshot of a tweet that said, "Why watch Chiefs Bills when you can ride a motorcycle out of a helicopter on cocaine?" And I was like, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the tweet itself that was screenshot from John Boyce, who's one of the best followers there is on Twitter.
Yes. Stupid.
But it was insanity. But it also, now that we have a little bit of removal from it, I think the one thought I did have on Sunday that I feel like is probably my main takeaway. If you're a Chiefs fan, you'll remember it for winning the game and the craziness that it was.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Bills fan, you'll forever remember it for being one of the most painful losses of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're just a football fan, you'll remember it for two things. I think it'll be known as the 13 seconds game.
Yeah.
I think that'll always be, like, you talk about the epic in Miami or the immaculate reception, you see the hands. I think the name for that game is going to be the 13 seconds game.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it will forever be remembered as the game with Allen and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Where it just went back and forth. I've thought about it. I love football history. If you look at my bookshelf, it's all books about football dating back to the beginning of it all. I would argue that is the greatest quarterback display in NFL history. I don't think there's ever been a game where both guys played better. They led their teams in rushing. They each accounted for 4 touchdowns. Mahomes led the whole weekend in rushing. It's impossible.
It's ridiculous.
Neither one of them threw a pick or lost a fumble. Neither one of them threw a ball that should have been picked or was almost picked. Neither one of them, to my recollection, threw one pass where they missed an open receiver. I mean, it was perfection. Josh Allen played a perfect game and lost because the other guy threw a perfect game too.
Yeah. That's a perfect analogy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I said this leading up to the game, and I've said it many times since then. I don't want to compare these guys to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning for a whole slew of reasons. One is that I don't know that it's fair to these guys. The other is they play football differently. Another reason is that I think I had more fun watching these two guys play last Sunday than I ever had watching Brady and Manning. Those two dudes are obviously were surgical with it and fabulous on every level. I understand that. But I am genuinely, I think, lost for words about the game that we're talking about, fittingly, and the fact that I just kind of think we're going to get, you know how sequels usually aren't as good as the original? I think we're going to get sequels to this game that are not going to be quite the 13-second game, but that really should be felt like a formal changing of the guard in some ways, at least in the AFC. And there are other young up-and-coming quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and like Justin Herbert and like Lamar Jackson even, who I think has gotten left out of some of those conversations because he was hurt and sick all year. And his team was brutalized by injuries. I mean, I'm just... Right. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I will defer to you on this completely. But I don't know that there has been an era of football ever with more young quarterbacks who we really think we know are legitimately good.
I'd have to go back and really think about it. The one era that jumps to mind, and I know this will be near and dear to your heart, is the early 90s with your main guy, Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
And then Brett Favre and Steve Young, Steve Young wasn't useful at that point because he had been on the bench behind Montana, but it was his first real shot to really play for an elongated amount of time. The 90s had that quarterback club, which is actually a licensing where they had those guys like Elway and Marino and Kelly and Moon and the early 90s was the time where you just had an ungodly amount of quarterbacks. But to your point, they weren't all this young.
Yeah.
They weren't all at this point. I mean, maybe actually the early 80s when you had Elway and Marino and Montana and Warren Moon and Jim Kelly, all under 30 years old.
Yeah.
That probably would be the time. But, no, also this has to be factored in. Right now is much more quarterback-centric than ever before.
Good point. Yeah.
So, these teams... in the 90s, it was Neil O'Donnell's in the Super Bowl. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? They have Greg Lloyd. Where now that would be the equivalent of, Daniel Jones being in the Super Bowl. Right? You think, yeah, right. It's not happening. So it is different. I will disagree on one thing, though. I think we'll see a lot of sequels with these two. You'll never see another game like that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. That is... Mahomes may never play another game the rest of his life that's that great of a football game. I mean, that really, you could make a real argument. That's the greatest football game of the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had a couple people say to me, "Do you think it's the greatest game of all time?" Which, that's a high bar to clear, but it's in the conversation.
Yeah.
It was that great of a game. It was a staggering football game. I was sitting here. Let's be real. 13 seconds left. I'm sitting there. I was actually on the phone with my dad, and I was like, "All right, well, I got to get rolling because I got to get on this podcast, and I'm gonna have to break down how they lost, and I'm trying to figure out okay, is it more on the defense? I mean, obviously the offense did its job, but is it I'm thinking about how much I'm going to crush Andy Reid for having Blake Bell run the option,
right?
And I'm going through all these things, and as I'm doing it, I'm still on the phone oh my God, they're in field goal range. Almost from instantaneously, wow, not even field goal range. They're inside a 50-yard field goal.
Yeah.
And then as that point, it's like everybody in the country, I guess, watching the game, they're like, well, whoever wins the toss is going to win. That's it. And when they won the toss, I just felt like, all right, well, this is over. If they had to drive 750 yards, he's going to drive in the end zone. So this game's done.
No, I agree with that completely. My hope for the sequels is that just we get compelling football where those two dudes are the main characters. But you're right. I mean, the praise enough is that someone could say to you with a straight face, this is the greatest football game that's ever been played. And your response wouldn't be, oh, come on, no, it's not. You're being ridiculous. The most disrespectful you could be is, I don't know, probably not, but let me think about it. Because maybe so. That is how the only argument against might just be if you really like defense. But I mean, at least offensively, I mean, it's perfect. It was quarterbacking perfection, like you said.
I'll say this, though, and this is where, again, I'll push back a little bit. Like, that game, for 58 minutes, there was a lot of good defense.
That's true.
Game.
You're right.
Like, that's the thing that'll get lost. If you look at the box score, somebody will just go, well, 42-36, couldn't play any defense. Both teams were tremendous defensively for 58 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it just became, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. And we're going to play this to the death at quarterback and see who can come out on top. As it turns out, the one thing I was disappointed in, I guess I shouldn't be disappointed, I should expect this, but the discourse immediately on Monday morning was like, which quarterback was better? They were both phenomenal.
Yeah.
Neither one was better. They were ridiculous. Like, both guys were just slinging it to an absurd, the throw that actually somehow gets lost in this game because of everything that happened after it. The first time the Chiefs scored under 2 minutes left, when Mahomes hits Hill with that 64-yard pass, that ball is a rocket, and it's even 6 inches behind him. He's going to get tackled. Then he's probably going to catch him. He's going to be 15 yards. He hits him, and Hill doesn't even have to break half a stride. And he's just up and around the corner, and there he goes, and he's gone. And then Allen's stepping up in the pocket, slinging it. Look, I think what that game does, and to be fair, it depends a little bit on this weekend, too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that the Chiefs now, if they handle business as a favorite and they win this weekend, and then they go on and they win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It now establishes Mahomes as the new Brady. And what I mean by that is not that he's Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got way more rings than Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, for years, you had Brady and Manning and Roethlisberger and Rivers. And, Brady was the guy that everybody chased.
Yep.
He was the standard, and they were the standard. You knew that at the end of it all, you were going to probably have to go to Foxborough, and you were going to have to beat them. Or you were going to have to be so great during the regular season that you made them come to your place. But one way or another, you were going to see them, and you had to beat him. You had to beat Brady to get to the to win the AFC Championship, to get to the Super Bowl. More years than not, that was almost always true, and they were in the AFC title game almost every year with him. And I feel like now, Mahomes is that guy. To get to the AFC title game, to win the AFC title game, you've got to beat him. You've got to go to Arrowhead, or you've got to outplay them, as Tennessee did this year and then fell apart in the divisional round. The Bills would have hosted that game had they beat Jacksonville, had they beat Pittsburgh, but they didn't. They lost to them. And so now, the stage for me is set for the next decade.
Yeah.
Kansas City's going to be there every year with him. He's just so relentlessly dominant. The Chiefs are going to be in the mix every year, year in, year out, as long as our roster is even average around. Now it's Burrow and Allen and Herbert and whoever else comes along the AC, and you've got to beat him. And I think if the Bills had won on Sunday night, maybe that's not the case. Maybe you kind of look at it as even. It's not even. Buffalo's had 2 cracks at them. They got blown out last year. This year they played incredibly, and they still lost.
Yep. It's
about getting past Mahomes and the Chiefs, and it's a race for all these guys to do it.
I completely agree. I wrote about that. We talked about that earlier in the week, and I think they're there now. I think that Mahomes is the main character of at least the AFC, and that it felt more so than the Super Bowl win, more so than the Super Bowl loss. It felt like, in part, thanks to Josh Allen playing such fabulous football and still losing, that felt like kind of the moment to me. By the way, you mentioned the touchdown that gets lost, and I thought you were going to mention an earlier one, and then I thought you might have even gone to yet another one. just for fun, the first 2 touchdowns of this game were Patrick Mahomes putting on a cape and diving for the pylon, and then his throw to Byron Pringle, which genuinely belongs in his career highlight throw reel.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. I thought he was throwing it away. An incredible throw that is not one of the 3 or 4 most incredible touchdowns of this, or certainly at least not one of the 4 most incredible or important scores in the way that this game ultimately played out. It just, what a game! Oh!
Well, and let's not forget the ball that he threw like Dan Quisenberry to Tyreek Hill.
Yes!
That was 3 feet off the ground for 15 yards, and he just gunned it about 65 miles an hour on a rope around the guy. It's just, look. But see, that to me is all the point, right? Like,
yes.
It's not that they won the game, and they kind of played okay, and then at the end they turned it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Buffalo is a really good team, and Allen is a great quarterback, and they gave the Chiefs everything they could possibly throw at them, and they still lost to them.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, to me, of all the games Mahomes has ever played in, since they've ascended past New England in the AFC,
Mm-hmm.
this was the biggest challenge they've ever faced. Like, it really was. I mean, you could say the Bucs game, they lost the Super Bowl, but I would say they were decimated in that game. And it's the NFC.
Yeah.
This was the first time, especially from an AFC team, where they were truly challenged by somebody who were like, that team could beat them. But that team is good enough. And Mahomes just kept turning them back and turning them back. And now I think it becomes this thing where, look, they're ready. We know the schedule for next year. Buffalo's coming Arrowhead again. And that's going to be a huge game. That's probably going to do a 40 rating, and everybody's going to go nuts over it. But no, I really think like now it's set. Like the Chiefs, this is the 4th straight year they're hosting an AFC title game. Which, if you're a fan of a certain age, that's just impossible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's impossible.
I remember as a kid, I'm 33. I remember literally some years thinking, God, will they ever get to an AFC title game in my lifetime? I mean, now they host them like it's week 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, yeah, AFC title game. Who's coming in? I mean, so it's incredible. But no, they've set the standard. And now if you're the Chargers and you're the Bills and you're the Bengals, and you want to say the Ravens, that's fine, toss them in there too. You're chasing them. And I will say the last part of this. The other thing that it does, if you watch that game and you're Cleveland, you're like, yeah, this is done. We can't win with Mayfield. You kidding me?
Mm.
You know, if you're the Raiders, like Derek Carr, I think Derek Carr is a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. I truly do.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr has no shot of winning a game like that.
Such a good point. Yeah.
You know, like what? So, like that's why I do think I would keep an eye on Green Bay, because if you're Denver, you have to do whatever you can. Like I don't care what the price is. I don't care how you feel about Aaron Rodgers personally, or you love him, don't like him, whatever. Like if they called up the Broncos called up the Packers and said, listen, we want Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers said 3 firsts, Jerry Jeudy, and Justin Simmons. Fine.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
Because we have no shot of even finishing second in this division.
Right.
If we don't have him. I mean, there's a real – say they got Aaron Rodgers. Either Rodgers, Herbert, or Mahomes is finishing third, and it's not going to be Mahomes. So you have one of these guys. I mean, Aaron Rodgers might come to the AFC West and finish in third.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, that's what you're dealing with. And if you're these teams like Cleveland, if you're New England and you felt good about Mac Jones all year, you watch that game. I mean, you're like, yeah, that's nice. Pack it up, boys. Like, hopefully we win a playoff game. Oh, you know, I mean, it reminds me as a kid of those years in the NFC in the 90s where I mentioned earlier, where it was like, before even the Packers really rose to prominence, and it was just like the Cowboys and the Niners every year. And you get them, they were always the 1 and 2 seed in some order. And like the divisional round, you'd be like, oh, here comes Steve Walsh and the Bears. And it would just be a murder scene. It would just 41-10. And you know, these teams, like, there's no chance. Like, you're not going in there beating those teams. And that's how I feel now about Mahomes and Allen. I don't feel like that yet about Bro. I think he's terrific, but I don't think he's quite to that point. Herbert is not even playing the playoff game yet. He's got to earn his stripes.
Yeah.
But Mahomes and Allen, you have to watch those two teams and just go, if we don't have a guy, at least 90% of that, you have no shot. You're not going to beat those teams in January.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And it's just, I just can't help but laugh because it's such a hilarious time for the sport and the Chiefs and the AFC and I love it. So let's talk about Burrow a little bit because I think you're right. I'm with you. I'm like, hey, he has something to prove still, but I frankly anticipated this year to be the year where the Bengals tried to show us all that they were a year away and that they were gonna get here just in time. Them being in the AFC Championship game is a big statement. What is the seriousness level with which they must be considered in this game?
Oh, absolutely serious. Burrow, I'll say one thing about him. You know, like he doesn't have the arm that the other guys we have. You know, he doesn't have the arm of the Herberts and the Mahomes and the Allens.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got that it factor in spades, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kid, he just exudes that gift of him just smoking a cigar after the LSU championship. Like I feel like that's just him on like a Tuesday night at the house. the guy just he exudes confidence. And I'll say this: you watch the game against the Titans, they beat the hell out of him in that game.
Yeah.
9 sacks. They hit him a million times. He just kept coming. He didn't care. It didn't bother him. You know, I really do believe, like, they're for real. They have major weapons. I like Zach Taylor as a coach. Now, I'm also going to be honest. Do I think they're the same level as Kansas City? No, I don't. I don't think they're the same level as Buffalo either. Defensively, they've got some players I really like. Logan Wilson's underrated. Excellent linebacker. Jesse Bates, a really good safety. Trey Hendrickson, 14 sacks, Pro Bowl. He's a very good player. But there's holes around that. Offensively, look, their line is a wreck. I mean, that's well known at this point. But their weapons are very good. I think the Bengals, and I think this was shown on Week 17. If Kansas City goes in and doesn't play well, they can lose. But I also think Week 17 showed something else. The Bengals had basically 500 yards of offense. Burrow threw for 446. Chase had 266 and 3 touchdowns. They won 50-50 ball after 50-50 ball. The penalties in that game, the Chiefs took 10 of them, some of which were interesting calls, but it is what it is. The Chiefs did not play well. They deserve to lose. Kansas City was a disaster in that game. I don't know that the Bengals could have possibly played any better. Like I feel like that was like the absolute peak of every possible thing they could do. And they won on a last-second field goal in a game that if 3rd and 27 doesn't happen, they would have lost.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think – I think if the Chiefs play well, like a B-plus or better in this game, I don't really know that it matters what the Bengals can do. And also, if Mahomes plays at the level he's been playing, it's over. Like, I don't even know that I care about anybody else does.
Yeah.
He's just been set in his mind. But, no, they're a good team. And they can win if the Chiefs don't play well. My biggest concern about the Chiefs is can they get back emotionally where they have to get to after a game that had to, even by their standards, be staggering.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things there that we've brought up that I'm very glad you mentioned. Starting with the latter there, like I don't think that there's any issue with the team like looking ahead to the Super Bowl, right? That would require a level of arrogance that I simply do not think exists at Arrowhead, and that's I'm not concerned about that. But I do think that like the idea that they just played a game that ended with a Super Bowl amount of emotion, I would have to think. It definitely did for a lot of Chiefs fans. We're still talking about it, but. Do you think there is that chance that maybe they just come out and it takes a second to ramp up? Again, they're not scouting the Rams and Niners yet, in terms of like the Chiefs themselves. I'm sure there's a coach somewhere grinding some tape.
But, there definitely are some coaches that are,
but not in the positional meetings right now, right? They're on this game. But what would you keep an eye on there? Like what concerns you a little bit, if anything?
Well, I just think sometimes when you win a game like that, it's hard to emotionally get back up for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. Like it. You go back. I was rolling off some of the games earlier. Like, see a hands game. Well, the Raiders lost next week at home in the AFC title game.
Mm-hmm.
The Immaculate Reception. The Steelers lost the following week in the AFC title game. The Minneapolis Miracle. The Vikings then went on the road and got killed in the NFC Championship game. The Epic in Miami. The Chargers then went and lost to Cincinnati in the AFC title game.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Now, there are plenty of examples of games like that where where teams have come out and handled business. And I would also say, to be fair, that most of the teams I just reeled off, they lost to teams that they were supposed to lose to the following weekend. But I do think that's real. Like, I would not be shocked in this game if the Chiefs are down 10-0 in the first quarter. I wouldn't be, because I'm not predicting that. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they're probably going to win by about 10 points. But I do think that's the biggest concern. I will say on the flip side of that, if Kansas City comes out early in this game and they're rolling, it could be a long day for the Bengals.
Yeah.
That I could see going sideways in a hurry. But no, I think that's a real thing. Look, how many people, and frankly, disrespectfully to Cincinnati and Tennessee, were just like, this is the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I had somebody text me the morning of the game in the league who just unpromptly was like, well, this is pretty much the Super Bowl because these are the two best teams. And then that game unfolds. So
right.
The only thing I would say that makes me feel like that probably won't happen is just the Chiefs have so many guys who've been in so many big games.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll and you watch some of those audio clips right after the game. Kelsey was talking to Melvin Ingram on the field after the game. He's like, we got to get ready for next week. So there's that. But it is hard. It is hard after you win a game where you're dead. You're dead. Your season's done. And you come back from the dead. It's hard to then all of a sudden just go, okay, next game.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned there that I really like the conversation about is if Patrick Mahomes plays his best game, does all of the breath we've spent on Jamar Chase this week even matter? Because if the Bengals want to put up 40, but the Chiefs want to put up 42, it's fine.
If Mahomes plays his best game, I really think they'll score 50 points. They won't. No one will stop them. I'll go as far as this. If he plays his best game for 2 more games, they're Super Bowl champions. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care what they're team. I mean, unless it's just one of these things where, like, the guy fumbles 3 times or something.
Sure.
I mean, he's that great. He really, since he threw that pick to Watt in the wild card game, it really feels like he's like 89 of 90 for 1 billion yards. It's just every time he drops back, you're like, they have no chance.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just going to find somebody. Look, the Bengals this playoff run, they played the Raiders and the Titans. They've scored 45 points. They've had the benefit of 4 turnovers. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs have had the benefit of 1 turnover. The Chiefs have scored 42 points in each of their games. The Bengals have scored 45 total. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like, the Raiders play no defense.
Yeah.
The Titans were a decent defense, very good front, secondary shaky. And Kansas City went out and just utterly destroyed a decent defense in Pittsburgh with an anemic offense, and the number 1 defense in football in Buffalo, which I think that rating's a little fraudulent because of who they played all year long.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still a very good defense. Kansas City had 550 yards in the game. I just think if you're the Bengals in this game, you're going to need some help. You're going to need a couple of turnovers. You're going to need a lot of penalties and drop balls, which is what they got in the first game, which is all that stuff. You're going to need a game-changing play. Look, you look back at that first game. Now, Pringle's kickoff return for a touchdown toward the end of the first half. It was called back, and rightfully so. It was a holding penalty. But it had nothing to do with the play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he doesn't hold, it's still going to be a touchdown. And that changes the whole game. If that play stands, I'm sorry, that game's over. The Bengals aren't coming back from 35-17 at halftime. That's not happening. So I think, but they needed that. They needed a play that took 7 off the board. They needed a play later where Bell was inside the red zone and right at the red zone, and they got called back. I think it was like an illegal man downfield and a holding penalty. The Bengals are going to need some of that because I don't think Burrow's going for 450 again.
Right.
I don't think Chase is having the best day of any receiver in the league again.
Right.
Like, and it's like no low blitzes with that offensive line. And he's blitzing and leaving Jamar Chase one-on-one, then you know what they deserve to lose.
Right.
Like, I just don't think any of that's going to happen. I think Cincinnati has a shot to win this game. They have to get to 35. I just would be shocked if they win the game like 27-24. I would be blown away if that happens.
So, I mean, you've already touched on a bunch of potential answers to this, so feel free to skip over something if you don't want to, repeat that. The Bengals are going to need some help. The Chiefs need to not turn the ball over. They need to not commit a bunch of penalties. They need to not get some extra penalties tacked on to ones that they may have not committed. But what should they have learned from the first time through? Is it the blitzing? Is it how they covered Jamar Chase? I imagine it's something defensively in all likelihood. But what are you looking at from a few weeks ago and saying, hey, this was a problem then, and it'll be a problem again on Sunday unless they do something different?
It's got to be their defensive scheme.
Yeah.
They went into that game in Week 17. And I think Spagnuolo's thought process was, look, their offensive line's terrible. We're going to speed him up. we're not going to let him throw the ball deep because we're just going to blitz and blitz and blitz, and he's going to have to check down, and get rid of it. And to Burrow's credit, he hung in there, and the Chiefs hit him a lot in that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't as though they didn't get home. They sacked him 4 times. They hit him a ton. But he chucked it up to Chase, trusting him one-on-one. And Severius Ward gets treated like he was horrible in that game. Go look at the tape of that game.
Yeah.
Severius Ward is all over Jamar Chase, and it just doesn't matter. Like, it's unbelievable how great Chase was. So I am not a defensive coach. I will never know a tenth of the football that Steve Spagnuolo does. My guess would be, in a very basic sense, the Chiefs in this game will say, look, we can get home with 4. We better be able to get home with 4. And we are going to bracket Chase. We're going to double Chase. We're going to play too high. And you make that offense with that offensive line go 12, 15 plays down the field. Because at some point with that group, you think it's going to be a run for negative yardage or a holding penalty or a sack or just a hurried throw that is an incompletion or a hurried throw that turns into an interception. Mixon, for as great as he is, has not had a 100-yard game since November 25th. He has not rushed for 4 yards per carry or more in any game since that same date. He's not even rushed for 66 yards or more in any game since that same date. So they have not run the ball at all because the line's terrible. And so I think Melvin Ingram's the key here. He's going against a backup right tackle. I would expect Melvin Ingram to be a force in this game. And if you're getting pressure with 4, you're out of your mind to blitz. Why would you blitz? Just play 7 guys in coverage and say, look, if you're the Chiefs, the Bengals kicking field goals, they might as well punt the ball through the uprights. Right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. They're not winning the game doing that. So if you're the Chiefs, you're like, look, let them. Who cares? Let them move the ball 40, 50 yards. It doesn't matter. And we'll get a couple 3-and-outs here and there. And the offense will do its thing, and they should be fine. But I really do think that defensively, if you haven't learned from what you saw in Week 17, you ought to just give it up.
You've already said you think the Chiefs win. You said you think by about 10 points. I'm going to ask you a question that I want everyone to know. This cannot be held against me because I am saying it knowing that this might not matter if things go a certain way, but I'm genuinely curious. This is the only time I can really ask you this. Who would be a better matchup between the Rams and the Niners for the Chiefs?
The Niners. Easily. I think the Chiefs could very well lose to the Rams. I don't know. I wouldn't pick it, but the Rams have that pass rush of Donald and Miller and Floyd. And Ramsey's a great corner, although I think if he's one-on-one with Hill, I think that's more a problem for the Rams than it is the Chiefs. But Stafford's a much better quarterback than Garoppolo. And Stafford's the wild card and all that.
Yep.
He's also the kind of guy who could throw 3 picks and throw them right out of the football game.
Yep.
He is very capable of doing that. I just think with the Niners, it's not that I don't respect them. I think the Niners are a very tough team, but Garoppolo is not Stafford.
Yeah.
And their corners are the weakest part of their team. I think the Chiefs would just relentlessly go with their corners in the game. But that being said, they're going to be favored. If the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl healthy, they're going to be favored no matter who they play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest. Here's a crazy thing. The game's at SoFi, so you would think if they play the Rams have this big home field advantage. I actually think that there will be more Chiefs fans in that building if they play the Rams than if they play the 49ers.
I think you're right. Wow, that is wild. Huh.
By the way, have you seen Sam Farmer of the LA Times, the Steam writer, tweeted out that this game, for the NFC title game, the Rams-Niners, it is on pace to be the most, I'm trying to think of the right way to term this, the most active game ever from StubHub's perspective. The secondary market on StubHub, this is the most tickets ever bought for a game on StubHub.
Wild. Really?
Not good for the Rams.
No kidding. Also, it would be hilarious for the Chiefs to be the first and second teams ever to play a game at the opposing team's home stadium for a Super Bowl.
Of course it's the Chiefs.
Of course it is.
And the Chiefs, by the way, would be the home team in the Super Bowl. The AFC team is the home team.
Just ridiculous.
Sorry, I just want to chime in.
No,
but
it's
also,
fine. Go ahead.
The Chiefs are obviously going to be will play for the first and second time in an opposing team stadium. But the Rams, weirdly enough, are going to be the first team to ever play in their own stadium if they win, according to Darren Ravel.
Sorry, Rudy said that there was a he said Darren Ravel tweet, and what he meant was he wanted to make a joke about Darren Ravel's bad tweet. And I could have just let this segment go on Matt giving us some great information.
I'm sorry, I have to when it's Darren Ravel. I have to.
Yeah, they're the worst of the worst. But regardless, yeah, I really think if the Chiefs were to advance, they actually will have more fans in the stands if they play the Rams in the Rams Stadium than if they play the Niners. Because for the Niners, like San Francisco, it's an hour flight south, and there's a million Niners fans out there. If you ever visited that part of the country, it's Niners country all day long. Like, I think the Rams, that would almost be wild if the Chiefs play the Rams and it's just Arrowhead West.
Yeah.
Because I was at the game 2 years ago. I wasn't there last year because of COVID, but I was at the game 2 years ago when they, up in the press box when they beat the Niners. And I remember that whole week, being down in Miami, and there was just a ton of Niners fans everywhere. And I was like, wow, that's going to be packed with Niners fans. It's going to be like a road game for the Chiefs. And by the end of the week, it had totally flipped. All the Niners fans had seemingly gone home, and it was Chiefs country everywhere. And I would say at the game, it was probably 70-30, something like that. And it was loud for the Chiefs when they were out there. It was noticeably louder for Kansas City. I would think if they play the Rams again, I think that's honest to God, you're going to have a much bigger split for the Chiefs. Whereas I think if they play the Niners, because it's in California, maybe it's closer to like half and half. It's more actually neutral. But yeah, this weekend ought to be interesting. You're going to have Arrowhead, which is going to be bonkers out of its mind. There's going to be about 8 Bengals fans at this game. and then you're going to turn on the NFC title game, and it's going to be like Candlestick.
Right.
So
right.
It's going to be very interesting to see the dichotomy of those two games.
That's super interesting. Matt, I appreciate it as always. You did mutter, I think, the phrase "the absolute worst" earlier, and I'm going to assume that was not directed for Darren Rovell, but was directed for Rudy, because that's what I was thinking while that bit was happening. But yeah, they deserve each other. Yeah, what a
disgraceful episode.
what a duo, those two. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you about, knock on wood here, another Chiefs Super Bowl, and just maybe another instant classic if we're so lucky. Probably not as lucky as we were last week, but another good one would be fine with me.
We shall see. I'll be at the Super Bowl one way or the other. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
All right, Matt. We'll talk to you later. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Matt Verderame of FanSided. It's so good, man. Just so good. Really a shame that Rudy tried to ruin the segment at the end.
I didn't do anything. Darren Rovell tweeted it.
Did Darren Rovell walk into the studio, hold a gun to your head, and said, "Make this joke about my dumb tweet"? Because I didn't see him in there.
There's a joke in there somewhere about Darren Rovell, but I just can't fully think of it with his merchandise.
Yeah, he did come back there, but it was the gun that John Wilkes Booth used.
Yep, there we go.
All right, we got there. I was gonna say you're redeemed, but also your hair's still looking like it's about to maybe get messy again.
Oh yeah, it is. It's just gonna be one of those. I can't fix it. I'm hurt now. Thank God there's only 20 minutes here left. I might leave now. We have an intern now. She can run the board.
Did you teach her how to run the board yet? Does she know how to
play? Enough. Just turn all the buttons on. Something will happen.
Turn all the buttons on.
If all the buttons are on, we will be able to hear you. I'm confident of that.
Here's something real quick. I know we got to go to break, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. Right now on NFL Network, there is a football game on, and a team just scored a touchdown to take the lead with 13 seconds left.
Yeah,
wow.
number 13 did that.
It's going to throw a break there, but Rudy had another joke. This has been a tough show for Rudy.
It wasn't a joke. It was number 13. Caught a touchdown pass with 13 seconds left.
Yeah, I understand. I was sort of ramping up for a bit there, but look, man, I understand, Rudy. As much as both of us would like you to, you are right now just incapable of getting out of my hair.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I think today was not only a weird show, it was also at least okay.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you haven't rewatched the entire broadcast of the last few minutes of Chiefs Bills, you got to do it. I've been watching it while talking to Verderame, and then during the commercial break, it's been replaying on NFL Network. And knowing what happens makes the reactions from both sidelines just simply even funnier, because you get the elated. I'm going to go back to the play chart here. I know it's Thursday. I know we got to talk about Chiefs Bengals. I got audio. We'll play all that audio probably. How much time we have left in the show? 7 minutes? Probably not going to get these 12 minutes of audio played.
Yeah, we can try.
We'll pick a few clips. But the truly crazy thing is, remember,
the Bills are time management subpar. I can make that joke because the Chiefs won. Because if the Chiefs had lost, I could maybe make the same joke.
You would have made it about the Chiefs, absolutely. The crazy thing is, so the Bills have that everlasting gobstopper of a drive, right? 17 plays, takes 7 minutes, but then it gets to 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 is that dump-off pass to Devin Singletary where Allen almost gets sacked. Singletary should have dropped it, but Chris Jones eats Devin Singletary for breakfast, and they lose 7 yards. And then it's 4th and 13, and the Chiefs sideline is pretty good energy. The Bills, they showed I think it was just a defender on the sideline. I didn't recognize who it was. And just looked like they were about ready for that play to fall short, and the game is basically over. They convert. Chiefs sideline, they show Chris Jones. Chris Jones looks super bummed. The Chiefs go out there, and they go score a touchdown of their own as the Bills are celebrating. Josh Allen's family is celebrating in the suite they're in. That is an elation moment. They're showing Bills fans in the stadium afraid to celebrate too early, basically, which, funny story. The Chiefs then get to 3rd and 10. Remember the pass on 3rd and 10 where Kelsey breaks out left towards the left sideline? He leaps into the air and catches that pass with his whole body. He catches it with both arms and both legs. He just curls his body around the ball and just barely converts the first down for exactly 10, maybe 11. And then you get Tyreek Hill. And even on the replay, I was waiting for that touchdown. And whenever Mahomes hits Hill there, I think, okay, that must be the next one. And I think, oh no, that was actually the play that he scored a 64-yard touchdown on. And then the Chiefs sideline is going crazy, and the Bills have the 1,000-yard stare. And then they go score a touchdown in 49 seconds. And the game is over. At that point, Josh Allen is freaking out, with his teammates on the sideline. There is a celebration there.
We just completed one of, if not the greatest comeback in postseason history.
It really would have been.
Certainly Bills postseason history.
It genuinely would have been. It would have been an all-time game and an all-time comeback if it ended there.
It would have been a defining moment for Josh Allen where, there's an alternate universe where Josh Allen goes on to be the Grim Reaper of the NFL, and that's where it starts.
Yes. That was Josh Allen's origin story, was being fully set in stone there. And the Chiefs run 2 plays, kick a field goal, and go to overtime. What? Huh? Are you sure? Is that allowed? Can you do that? Hello?
And also did it because apparently Travis Kelce is arguably the Chiefs' best offensive coordinator. Certainly top 4.
He might get a head coaching job before Eric Bieniemy does.
I don't know about might. I think he definitely will.
Texans are going to interview him tomorrow. It is just unfathomable.
It's a good thing Vic Fangio's getting job interviews.
Oh, man, that's also crazy.
Do you remember when he just tried to lose to the Chiefs, but just by a few points less?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that pretty well, actually. This game was 23-21 after 3 quarters. It ended 42-36.
I think we've had a handful of people mention this just over the week that
what are we doing?
The defenses weren't terrible, right? And like in my mind, the Chiefs defense was very bad in this game. It really wasn't.
Yeah,
it was pretty good for 3.5 quarters.
Especially whenever you see how the last half of the fourth quarter went, because that makes you appreciate the first 3.5 even more.
And
oh, that could be the whole game, huh?
And then, right where there's some bad plays, of course, like it was clear that they were missing Tyrann Mathieu because there was just this one gaping hole. But it was just like they played pretty good. And then 2 quarterbacks took the super serums juice and just went into another world, man.
Yeah, it's just.
And same with the Bills. Like the Bills' defense was very much playing the part of the Bills' defense. Patrick Mahomes, especially early on in that game, was making plays out of nothing. We talk about plays that we keep forgetting. When he kind of is just literally running around playing backyard football style, and then does the shovel pass to Jerick McKinnon, who has the one-handed catch for a first down.
Yeah,
it's only a 6-yard catch, but it was on a 3rd and 6.
First down.
That doesn't get talked about at all.
Nope.
And in most weeks, that's the highlight play, right? That gets shown time after time after time. But that was like the 10th best throw in the game.
That is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Like that, yeah. I mean, that is a play that makes it into the highlight reel that we have a read for and everything. Like it's just, and there are 10 of those plays for both teams combined for sure. It's unbelievable, man. Just what a game. We don't have time to play the audio that I wanted to play there originally, Rudy. Oh, let's do Eric Bieniemy on the improvising, number 6 on the sheet that you have so dutifully put together, because this is exactly what we're talking about here. That Travis Kelce play, we played you the audio of that earlier in the week. Listen to Eric Bieniemy here when he was asked about letting Mahomes and Kelce have that freedom to improvise and what advice he has for them other than just to make sure it works.
I think that was it. Make sure it works. And here's the thing. I'll say this. First of all, we felt we had a great play design for that particular situation. I know when they called timeout, those two exchanged some words. And then Pat had mentioned something to me, and I was like, okay, here we go. So, and the thing about it on the field, you can hear Pat yelling, do it, do it, do it. And you knew exactly what he was talking about, because the way the defense had unfolded, we knew we were going to have an opportunity to make that play, and they made it happen. Like I said, credit to them. I thought they did a heck of a job, and it was great because it put us in position to have a chance. All right. And Butker comes out and he's at his best when his best is needed. And what a great team victory, and what a historical event to be a part of. But the thing about it, our guys do a great job of locking into those situations. Our coaching staff, we have trained for a long period of time because Coach Reed has conditioned us. Most games are lost than won. It is our job when we're placed in those situations to find a way to win.
There's some Eric Bieniemy staples in there. It was a new one for me today. He said it twice. At his best when your best is required. That's another pillow to cross stitch something into there from Eric Bieniemy. Here's something else. I just saw. Again, I completely forgot about this. They had a 3rd and 1 on their own 30-something. It was 3rd and 1 on the KC 34. Now, it was like they ran one of those unguardable plays where Mahomes runs left and Kelce goes left, and it's Mahomes to Kelce and you're good. What happens if that play is incomplete? Do they punt? They go for it on 4th and 1 on their own territory? It's overtime. They got to, but I don't know. And that kind of thing just gets washed away because the highlights in this game are so bright and so incredible. It's fantastic. Tomorrow, we are back for another 3 hours. The plan currently is to have Mick Schaefer and Sterling Holmes. Haven't heard from Mick. We also slandered him pretty hard earlier in the show, so that might be TBD. But either way, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 7. Until then, bye, Mom.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Live Sunday at 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm Ed, Shane Company's lead diamond buyer. One thing I'd love our customers to know is that no fewer than 5 sets of expert eyes examine your diamond. No other jeweler does this, and this is how we can offer you the most beautiful diamonds. We're always traveling to the diamond capitals of the world, where our long-standing relationships allow us to look at the diamonds as they're coming off the stonecutter's wheel. We get first pick of the prettiest diamonds in every grade. We negotiate the best price and pay in cash to get you the best value. All of our diamonds are conflict-free and natural. Unlike lab-grown diamonds, natural diamonds have consistently maintained or increased in value over time. There's so many reasons to feel confident about choosing a Shane Company diamond. No other jeweler works as hard or cares as much as we do.